Welcome to the Angus verse. I don't know.
I'm
Oh,
tired of
Brody.
verses. They need to die.
Even the Rippaverse.
Oh
Just,
God.
Oh,
I think,
got you low.
I
Cat
think
got your
that
tongue.
I just think that from now on, there shouldn't be verses anymore. Is my thing. You do it once, do it twice, do it thrice. Few things have verses. It's just
Oh, so
not as creative
you're
anymore.
hating on the upcoming Methoverse. I
Oh,
see.
Yeah, if you
geez.
call that Methoverse, yeah, it's a little uncreative. I'd say you need to do better than that. You
But it's funny because it's
got to do
meth.
better.
That's what makes it fun,
Oh,
being
no.
purposely uncreative.
Well, it's like if I made my Fat Speedster short film, I'm not going to call it the Fat Speedster verse. It's just these. It's like it's fine to have some that exist with the name, but after a while, like if anymore, it's kind of like, what you doing? What you doing?
Wow.
I don't know.
We got
Yeah.
the old Hofster caster. I actually hung out with them yesterday, impromptu. I was in Columbus and I had to drop off a DHL package. So I bought some on eBay. I bought this kick-ass not Ghostbusters. Ghost
You hate
Rider.
Ghostbusters.
I fucking hate Ghostbusters. Yeah. Ghost Rider. Awesome comic character. Really underutilized, in my opinion. This bust I've been wanting for like 8 years. I finally got, and it was from France. And I open it, and like one of the spikes on his shoulders missing, and then like maybe just in the shipment, it like chipped off like a piece of his jacket on the chest. And I'm like, I want my money back. But I don't live directly by a DHL. They're all like 20 plus miles away to drop off. And it's like, that's totally out of my way. I never go this way. That was annoying. But I was right by a Mexican market that had a restaurant in it. But it closed. And so I'm like, the only one I know is on the other side of town, but Hoff's over there. So let me go over there. And he was down, and we had the salsa. Fuck, that salsa is so hot. Like I eat like 3 chips with salsa. I'm crying.
Pussy.
Oh god,
Yeah.
it's good. It's really good. It's just like that's like their standard sauce. That's their mild. It's not even their hot sauce, and it's so hot I would start crying after a minute just because it's so hot. Hoff can attest to this. We had a good time. I had real Mexican tacos. We had to get a translator actually. Some other guy, like the lady called someone like, "Hey, English speaking Mexican, come take this order." That's how like Mexican this restaurant is. Love it. Are you a Mexican fan, Wizardbrain?
Oh yeah, I can like Mexican. Yeah.
Like a fan of Mexicans or like food?
I guess both.
Both.
It's funny the way you said. Are you a Mexican fan? You rooting for them? They
They
feel
come
pretty good
together,
there.
don't they?
Well, the food's good, but the people. Yeah, we had a good time. This is unlike other times where I'm like, ooh, let's talk about that topic. So I know you've seen Spiderverse 2,
Mhm.
Wizardbrain. We're gonna talk about that. Partially
Yeah,
just
I
because I
mean,
saw the hot chick on Twitter. I'm like, ooh, that'll be a great thumbnail.
yeah, it was. Actually, when I thought about it earlier, I was like, well, I have to give it props. The animation is a 10 out of 10, and like the costumes are good. You can't deny that. There's definitely some heartstrings and whatever, but I think the actual plot is like kind of mid if I actually think about it.
Yeah, so it has topped for superhero movies on IMDb, which what does that mean exactly? But it's topped Endgame and Dark Knight. Those are the previous top 2 films, and now they've been dropped down a peg. Yeah, I see you, Popcon. He says, "Hola, mi hermanos y nueve amiga."
I can't speak Spanish, so I'm not even
He's
try.
saying, "Hi, my brothers," and new friend in the feminine. So that's the thing when you try to do Latinx shit and stuff with like Latin based language, it's binary. Like in Dance with the Wolves, they made the like Sioux people laughed at the movie because the language is like Sioux, but it's I guess all in feminine form.
Oh God.
So like the world over, there's a lot of like binary language. So yeah, he was
Just thinking
saying
about it,
instead of
like,
amigo, he's saying amiga, which I assume that's correct. I assume there's I guess a feminine of friend implying it's a girl. Hofcast saying, "Sup OG, I need to reply to your Twitter message soon." Well, get that out of here, Hoff. Screw you. But yeah, before we dig more into the Spider-Verse, rookie, carry on with Wizardbrain. I gotta get my horn ready for the ceremony.
All right, no problem.
I'd like to know now. Like I posted 2 links, but I can only post one from now on because every time I try to post multiple links, it kicks me out. So I got like 1 link, and that's the Patreon.
I don't know if he's made you a mod yet.
Yeah,
see a
I'm
mod
still
status.
on. He hasn't taken away my wrench.
Okay, it should let you do more than a couple.
No,
Usually,
because I'm on mobile. Mobile can only do so much.
oh no, I got you. Okay, mobile. The limitations of mobile. I see. I now see.
Maybe eventually one of these days I'll get a laptop and I can actually do multiple links.
Right. One of these days.
Until then, I'm just limited to 1.
That's all good.
2
We got our technology that we've got. You know, that's how that works, for sure. What's up, Karen, in the chat? What's up? Good seeing you around. Yeah, he's getting the horn. The ceremonies. Do you have your horn ready, Wizard?
Yes.
Nice. Very good. I don't know why he has it so far away. He's usually like right by his desk, but you know, whatever. That's all good. Yeah, I did not go see Into the Spider-Verse. I was supposed to see like a bunch or Cross the Spider-Verse, whichever one it is now. I kind of don't like how all these names for Spider-Man movies are so similar to each other. Kind of wish there were a little more variety in the name choosing, but you know, that's what we get. I was gonna see it, and I was gonna see a bunch of other films this year, but I saw like 5 or 6 movies this year, and then I just stopped seeing movies for a few months. So
no, that's same here. I pretty much had to drag my foot.
Yeah, it's like I'll probably watch a lot of these stuff on a streaming or whatever when they come out or something. But
you know, I mean, like, you know, Guardians 3, like it was. Like, it wasn't horrible, but it could have been. I think it would have improved if they didn't dumb down the blonde dude, you know? Like, he had some awesome powers, and he did kick some ass, but then every time he went to his mom, it just took me out. I'm like,
right, Goldilocks boy or whatever.
Yeah. I was like, come on, man. The boys already do that. And he's the same kid, and he's the same actor from The Boys, too, because he looked familiar, and I'm like, oh, man, come on.
Doing it dirty. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that was one that a lot of people recommended that I see as well. But I don't know, like I just don't like. I'm okay.
I mean, it's not horrible. Like you're definitely gonna like the like when it's blonde dude, like he's not like horrible. Like you're definitely gonna like him when he's fighting, and you're definitely gonna have some moments or something, but like overall, like every time he went to his mama, man, it just took me out. Like,
yeah, it's. I guess I'm like scarred by Marvel stuff in a way where it's like I just don't. I used to go in with more of an open mind of like this is probably going to be maybe okay, and I'm just like, how much am I going to hate it, kind of? And it's like, so I just. Don't know.
I understand, yeah. Just wait. Yeah, you can wait. It's not, it's not that something that you need to see. You can wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, what are you talking about?
Just like how I planned to see a bunch of movies this year, and then I like only saw a few, and then stopped watching.
I know you're like you called me. I called him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go see John Wick today," and it was like opening day. I'm like, "What? John Wick 4? Like, God, we barely got through John Wick.
Well, it's like
3.
You say that as if I was like, I'm gonna go see John Wick, my favorite film ever. No, I was like, I'm gonna go see John Wick.
No, I know
and
that one is
good.
65. That's
I haven't even got to 2 yet, man.
Stop it 2.
Honestly,
stop it 2.
There's no need to proceed after that, honestly.
I know. I'm like, and they're making another one. I'm like, really, man? You're
Yeah,
not gonna kill this
they're
French
trying to make
fry.
it. They're gonna make John Wick the next freaking Fast and Furious stuff, like where
Well,
there's
it's
like
crazy
another
because it's like
bunch of them. It's like
it could be James Bond. Like they're just shy of like really solidifying like a substantive character beyond like I want revenge and I got it, and now everyone wants to get me because I got revenge, but I'm not back on the team of like murdering people. Like he's not a hero. He's a
Right, I know.
protagonist, but he's fucking like we don't even know like all the misdeeds he's done, all the like bad jobs he's taken, ethically.
they call him the boogeyman. I mean, for killers to call you that, I don't know. I assume that's got a lot of stuff there.
Superheroes are not played out, man. When you see like the Boys and Invincible, Deadpool, Logan, to name a few, like good superhero takes are not played out. It's
That's
just
what,
when you do
Yeah.
Ant-Man, that's with anything. Like good westerns are
Man,
not
I
played
don't know
out.
what the fuck happened to Ant-Man. I could have sworn at least the first one was good. And it's bad
Whoa!
when
I do not like this bovine phobic language. You're in the meat pit. my
Milk
friend.
that
All
cash
American.
cow.
This is hate speech. I'm going to call at FBI. All right, they'll be in here
yeah,
shortly.
go right ahead and knock down my door.
Karen plot twist, Karen works for the FBI, so she's already got her back. So.
Well, she's Canadian, so I can't think of a Canadian-based thing to make a FBI acronym out of, but whatever.
Yeah.
The French Bureau of Investigation. Another pansies. What's up, Tim? We're just shooting the beef here in the meat pit with Wizardbrain. We're going to be talking about some Spiderverse. If you saw Spiderverse, let me know. I'll send you the link if you want to join the spoiler chat with me and Wizard. Ricky will just kind of commentate. He's good at that with stuff he hasn't seen. It was fun talking about Black Adam with him, trying to explain all the subplots, like key points to make the plot make sense. And then we watch it later.
Yeah.
I love torturing him with shit like that. Oh, dude, we gotta watch Shazam 2. It's gonna be so bad.
I mean, it's okay. Like, literally, it's kind of almost doable until the end. Like, pretty much it goes down here after the unicorns.
Yeah, I don't think you should use the word doable with a film like that where the main character is a kid that turns into a man.
I mean, that's the whole point of Shazam, though.
Depends on context.
But yeah, do you have a drink handy, Wizardbrain?
I do not. I got some diet free.
I do. You keep it liquid. I don't care if it's actually alcoholic.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
it's
some.
that time, my friends. Get ready, rookie. It's time for
the Horn of Ceremony.
That is right. All American Beef, the weekly tradition. Ready the horns, man. Tilt them back.
And woman, how dare you? Just joking.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I thought
this concludes the Horn of Ceremony.
I thought it was after they blow the horn, we drink, not talk about drinking. We drink.
Oh, you do drink.
Blown.
Yeah, of course.
You weren't with it. You were like, getting ready. And then, we shall now drinketh.
No. You do the horn of ceremony, and it's like, all right, it's time to drink. You drink, and then, well, that's it. Because like when, being Catholic before, Orthodox, liturgical Christianity, it's a whole thing. Like half the church ceremony is like, yeah, you got the singing, and then you read some stuff.
You get drunk.
Parts of the Bible, and then you sit back, and the priest is like, "Are you ready for Christ?" And
you want to get crunk on Christ? Yes.
and so he talks about the sermon relating somehow to all three readings, mainly, of course, the gospel, and then your weekly. That's kind of nuanced and fresh every week. Whatever he's talking about. Because you go through the Bible in 3 years, but then every week is the Eucharist ceremony for the second half, and that's when you're, saying all these kind of prayers and stuff, ceremony, And it's like you're talking about 20, 30 minutes, and then you do the procession of people taking the body and blood of Christ and filing back, and then you say, "Hey, thanks for letting us take the body and blood of Christ," and then you have like an outro. See you later. Till next week.
Well, yeah.
And that's why it's funny to be like, "Oh, the ceremony. All right, it's over. It's over. It's done."
Yes.
What are you looking at? Are you playing a game?
Who,
No.
me?
I'm just having my eyes fixed on something else. So,
Well, it'd be fun if you had like another screen, like, "Oh, I'm looking at the chat," and
Yeah, I'm looking at what
piece of shit.
Papa Cotton said with the prawn being where all the best talent is.
Hey, what's up, Curtis? How you doing?
I'm playing the Combat Evolved Halo, the first one, and I'm about to kill Master Keys, who's the captain. And then Cortana goes, "Take him down, boys."
Oh, you're playing old Halo.
Old Halo. Yes, old Halo. Good.
Right. I meant more like old, like old Yeller. Like he's not old. It's it's old Yeller. Old Halo.
It's funny because whenever I betray the Marines, I can kill them, but I can't kill the guy sitting in the computer seat when I betray them.
Bob Cotton says, "All the best screenwriting is in Prawn now. The pizza guy trope is more complex than anything Hollywood is doing. Let's be real here." I don't watch that stuff for plot. I skip the plot for the action.
I skipped the plot to watch the pizza.
Or the pizza.
I like watching them eat pizza. It makes me hungry.
Yeah,
dude, that was funny as fuck. Total tangent, but I was listening because I just happened to wake up and Vito's up at like 3 a.m. in California posting, "Hey, about to upload my Flash video." And apparently he snuck into a like early screening of the Flash, and he hadn't eaten before, and he couldn't dip out of the screening because then he'd have to re-sneak and possibly get compromised. So he's hungry as fuck, doesn't even have popcorn or drinks, watching a 2.5-hour movie. And it's like he's talking about how it starts and like someone's eating spaghetti in the movie, and he's just like, more pain.
I imagine hearing noises now.
Yeah,
you're annoying enough to hear crinkling
you're just
noises
like,
from chips.
You're hungry, like, "Oh, everyone else has popcorn but me."
Wait, hold on. Is it? Wait. The problem is that you're hungry.
Yeah.
I thought it's just hearing the noises of some of that when you're in a theater.
Speaking
That's
of popcorn,
What?
man, I don't know
How
what
is that a problem?
I don't know what the hell they put in my popcorn, man. But as soon as, like 30 minutes after I ate that shit, I felt sick. I was like, what the hell?
Oh my god! When I was a kid, that's when you say that. When I was a kid, this is like my first real like I love movies. I was probably, I don't know, 10. So I'm from Oklahoma, and my dad's a retard. So he's someone that like he would drive 3 hours to get to go to a Denny's to get the military discount for like Veterans Day. And it's like you realize you wasted way more gas than if you just ate regular price in your town. So anyway, he'd pick me up from the town he was in Oklahoma, pick me up across the state. And then instead of like going to a theater locally, the tickets are cheaper like outside of Dallas, Texas, 3 hours away. So we drove 3 hours away, get a hotel to get cheaper movie tickets. So you see like the lack of logic. But anyway, because the cheap movie tickets, we saw like 4 movies in 2 days. Which isn't crazy today, but back in like 2000, what? 4 movies. I saw Spider-Man 1, and I saw Attack of the Clones, which is my anecdotal reference. Like kids, like Star Wars is cool, but when Spider-Man and superheroes are on the screen, kids do not give a fuck about the Force. They want superheroes because that is like that fits their it piques their interest way more than it's sort of a complex story with Star Wars. Even though there's a meme of the Jedi where it's like,
speaking of that, did you hear about the freaking what was it? Was it man? Was it oh man, I'm brain farting. What's the other one? The one that's I think it's only gonna get 2 seasons.
What are you talking about?
What?
Raised by Wolves?
No, never mind. Maybe I'll remember the name eventually.
Okay. Yeah, not ringing a bell.
Sort of good. What's it about? What are you trying to remember?
Remember, it was about some. Remember Rogue One, and then now they're making the series off of it.
Oh,
Oh,
Andor.
Andor. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So
Me and
basically, they're
Rookie.
ending it after season 2, which I mean,
cool.
I'd rather have it end good and
Yeah. Before
than
it gets
go
ruined.
too long, you know.
Wow. We said French, and now we got a Cajun in the chat.
Avez-vous au
He said bonjour. And Papa Khan says boner to you too.
Boner to you.
Thanks for joining us, JRR24. Yeah, no, me and Rookie have watched one whopping episode of Andor.
2.
And our interest was because everyone else was crying about it. Like Grace Randolph had a famous clip of like people were like, "This is what's wrong with society
There's no Easter
and
eggs.
entertainment." There's no Easter eggs. You know, it's like, God, you're so vapid. You know, this is YouTube in general.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't have Easter eggs, then you just don't see value in the art, and it's like, oh, man, this is a real problem. But no, we really liked the first episode, and we just haven't, because we're watching other shit. We just haven't devoted
But
time.
we finished Game of Thrones. We're going through Breaking Bad. We started Terminal List. We watched Planet of the
That's
Apes,
what
all of them. Like,
That's what I
got a
plan to
lot
do.
of
I'm gonna watch some House of Dragons all this
Yeah.
weekend. That's why I said
Good.
I wasn't gonna be on my account like almost barely at all because I'm trying to actually catch up to shit.
Good.
Trying.
Good, yeah.
That's a good one to catch up on.
I'm getting back into, because like I've read House of
Oh
M,
yeah, I know.
and I've read some of like the X-Men storyline afterward, like Messiah Complex, really good. Read Civil War, but it's like no, I want to read from the start. So I'm actually, it's in my bedroom, but I got the. It's actually a prequel to Avengers Disassembled, which Avengers Disassembled is like the first writing of Bendis for like his iconic run in Marvel. But yeah, there's a prequel of like all these previous writers ending their stories, and that's where you get Thor Ragnarok's story, and it's super cool. Like some of the plot threads of Ragnarok's like, man, that's pretty cool. That's fun. Yeah, they didn't go where I was expecting it. Okay, and then you read the comic, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of with the comic nerds on this one. I'm kind of like, you had this story, you had these threads. Like that one story is like a trilogy in itself. It's only 6 issues, but man, like Thor goes through some shit, and it's like he's trying to get like the Odin Force or whatever, be worthy again. And it's like, oh, what if I just pluck out my eyes, or one of my eyes, like Odin? It's like, we gotta do more than Odin.
Now I'm worthy. Now I
and so it's like, okay,
now I'm worthy.
2 for 1. Am I good enough yet? You know,
That's funny.
Cool stuff. You got
Do
Hella
you
involved.
like me, Dad?
You got the Warriors 3. It was kind of cool because Ragnarok is really a cycle. It's not a, because he like finds like there's like gods above the gods. They're just like watching. And like, well, and they try to bribe Thor. Like, well, you can be like, when he like finds like the thread of time or whatever, like a tapestry that is like it's like a physical tapestry, but it's like tied to like the cycle. And they just like, the gods just watching the turmoil cycle again and again and again in their rebirths, and it makes it mean. So like essentially Thor wrecks all of that and makes it where it's like there's no more resurrections, there's no more restarts.
Oh, right, yeah.
For that story.
That's what I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of being a god than having another god above you? It's like that's the only point.
I can do whatever I want as long as Daddy says it's okay.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
you know the Greek gods kind of showcase the value of like a tier system. It's like, all right, Zeus is at the top. And even like what's cool about Greek gods compared to all the other gods, they don't take claim for the like earth and creation. It's like, yeah, whatever, we just took over. I don't know who started this. Like,
rolled in, kicked ass, and took over.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Wizard, you don't have to keep sharing my links. I appreciate it, but yeah, you don't have to share the links.
No, I'm trying. Last time I was a mod, like not before you, but like the first time I tried, they pretty much told me I sucked.
No, it's
like,
not really a big
"Hey,
deal.
man."
Like being a mod's like more of like a badge of like, you're a friend of the channel. more than
okay. I
like.
guess everyone has a different.
I
definition
appreciate
of
it. Yeah, like when it's more like if I have guests where like for Tuesdays if you're available,
Like
that'd
for
be more
comic,
pertinent.
like sharing
Yeah,
their
for
comic campaigns.
Yeah, it's more for other people that I would prefer a mod available.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Oh
could do
yeah.
that.
Here's a little excitement for me. I don't know if y'all care, but for my comic streams I do on Tuesdays when I find guests. Vito Gisvaldi of Super Killer of the internet fame recently. If you're in the Menace, you see all this drama with Vito and July and Dick Masterson. Those guys are funny as fuck. I found them originally because of the Ricada Law guest star on their Biggest Problem or whatever. And I just kept following them. They're funny as fuck, both of them. And I've been watching Flashcast drama, all this stuff. I'm mostly like, I like Eric and Vito for different reasons.
Yeah, we're not like, here's our side. It's like, well, we like to take things from, different angles anyway.
But given like, I think EVS is like holding back a bit, but he's clearly sort of in agreement with the critiques, even if they're kind of mean-spirited or, it's kind of team sports, whatever. Yeah, but regardless, the 20th. The
people
20th.
make fun of comics they don't like all the time. So like, why is there just
our comics? No, bad.
It's like, okay, you guys make fun of old comics 24/7, but as soon as it's done to you, it's all of a sudden it's a problem.
Yeah, but not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday we having Vito on to talk Super Killer. Possibly I'll have Comicsgate people as well. But I'll probably reschedule them just because I don't want them to like feel like sideswiped or anything or associated or whatever bad PR they might feel if they're in the same. I don't know. I'll ask them if they're down because it might help them get more views. I don't know on their comic, but yeah, I'm gonna give it the forewarning so they can decide.
About what? I mean, like, aren't you Comicsgate? I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm Comicsgate, but you can't quite pigeonhole me. Like, I'm kind of, it's like Menace. Like, I'm OG Menace, and so it wasn't really conservative. It was just like we're all mad about Rian Johnson, and we want to stick it to Disney for like the crap plot. And then it's kind of become like mostly conservative, which is fine because I think there is like a Hillary Trump divide in Star Wars fandom ever since The Last Jedi. Like, if you like it, you're probably a Hillary voter or Biden supporter. Like, there is like a clear majority leaning that you'll gather of fandom with that movie. And it's because it's like Star Wars is kind of like the prime American mythology that we've created thus far. If you think about like a country's mythology, America's really left its mark on film, and that series is kind of pristine. It's the perfect blend of blockbuster entertainment and like real substantive storytelling. And then you have this new guy and reinterpreting everything, and then you have half the fans like, this is essentially heresy to our faith, and the other people are like, oh, this it's kind of like Jesus coming, and it's like there's a split of like heretic or, oh, this is a fulfillment, this is a total logical progression of the story, and it kind of parses out politically with the fan base. So I think that's kind of why you get a left right of pro Phantomus or anti, and
right,
ebbs and flows, tugs and pulls,
because you got to think all this diversity initiatives, and it all goes back to like Star Wars and Ghostbusters for film. It goes back even further, Gamergate.
Yeah, it does.
Those are like the two marquee moments of like you're attacking fan bases, because it wasn't just the films were bad, it was like a whole media frenzy to protect the things.
Yeah, I used to care about that, not too long ago, but now I just don't give a shit. I'm like, if someone thinks I'm fucking woke for watching movies, and so be it. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. Like, most of us are like, yeah, you can do what you want too. I mean, that's kind of the thing. But
no, I like Bill Maher, and so I get irritated where it's like I see the like gears turning of logic, but then he's always stuck like, I don't know if because he's a Jew or what, he's always stuck having to be Democrat and always like, well, that's crazy and it's falling apart, the things I believe in, and now I'm like right wing in this group, but I'm still on that side. And despite like it seems like he's always like stopping himself short because of like the team he's on, I appreciate people that actually have conversation like that. Like he's friends with Ben Shapiro, which everyone, despite him being Jew, calls a Nazi. And so I think Vito's kind of in that realm of like a Bill Maher kind of liberal. Like he can't quite, doesn't fit in like where we're at today.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a shot. Because I saw
the killer?
your link to the Twitter thing, so I'm gonna watch a few videos.
Oh yeah, Vito's
I've
funny
already
guy.
seen a few clips of Dick Maxerson, and I'm already hooked.
He's hilarious.
Like,
Okay, so Dick
look.
has biggest problem on YouTube with Vito, but he also has his own show with his co-host Maddox, Sean Maddox.
Yeah.
And they're pretty funny. And like Sean usually plays like kind of like deadpan to like whatever Dick brings up, but they got a good duo with that. And sometimes they have guests or call-ins or whatever. Funny stuff. But yeah, it all goes back to like that Ricada stream is why I started following him. And I guess Dick's on Ricada's streams. I don't watch Ricada regularly. So
Yeah,
like,
I've slowed on watching him too. I can only watch so many streams. Like
there's so many things to watch
like
at a time. Yeah.
I'm
I still like him,
subscribed
but
to
I
like
had
500 channels. I don't know. I can't watch
I had to
everybody.
drop him because I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
tough.
like I mean, he'll still have he's still in my feed. Like, YouTube learns what you watch, so he'll still come up, even when I'm not subscribed anymore. But I just had to because there was literally I couldn't keep up. I was literally drowning in
Yes.
notifications.
People make new creators come up all the time. Some catch interest, and just a big old thing.
Let me look this up really quick. I'll share the link. So if anyone's interested, go back. Vito Gesualdi's Super Killer. We're gonna be talking in a couple weeks about this with him. Pushing the book. I'm excited. It's a funny premise. Let me read the premise to y'all. If you don't click the link. Story of a multiversal agent, Sam King, a man with a very unique and deadly career, working for the mysterious Multiverse Reformatting Initiative. Sam's job is to infiltrate worlds scheduled for cancellation and assassinate their primary hero. Doing so unplugs that hero's universe from the cosmic circuit breaker, freeing up crucial multiversal energies and preventing all of reality from collapsing into itself. Unfortunately, when your job involves the mass cancellation of entire universes, it tends to take a serious toll on your psyche. Not only that, but Sam seems to have been stricken with a serious case of amnesia, unsure of exactly who recruited him for this insane job or why he ever agreed to take it. All he knows are the terms of his employment. Kill 100 heroes and go home.
All right.
So think of like, DC, you got Superman or Green Lantern, and this guy would come in and pop him in the head, and thus, all right, we're good to close this universe.
All right, close up, Marge. All right.
So it just sounds like a fun, wacky premise. And apparently he's not superpowered. He just has like some sci-fi tech, like a gun and I guess a droid with him. So it's like he's got limitations. So cool
Obviously,
stuff.
yeah. I backed one recently. It was called the Marty Boys. It sounds like looked pretty funny and interesting, so I backed it.
Like the Merry Boys.
Yeah, the Marty Boys. It's like pretty much like like Popeye, where they got big heads and big hands.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. So yeah.
Sounds interesting.
You'll have to link that to me because I'm not seeing it.
At the Marty Boys?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I have to go get it. It's on my Twitter somewhere. I'll be right back.
Tim would love to see Biden describe Star Wars.
Sorry, I'm trying to find a bookmark of some funny stuff I've saved.
I sent you a couple things too.
Oh God.
Beforehand. Bit ago.
This was funny as fuck. All right, let me click on this and I'll show y'all.
Oh, she just got lefted.
Oh, well, she's probably grabbing that book.
Deserted us.
She has the link. She'll come back. Share the screen.
No.
So I haven't read this. This is fresh. I saw this Taliban successfully eradicates poppy cultivation. Afghan poppy cultivation. So this looks like where I was, like Kandahar province. This like wall or whatever behind this guy is like a lot of the structures are kind of made like this, maybe like mudded over to like, give it more uniformity. But
Yeah.
yeah. Let's add her back. There you go. Yeah, Tim, I don't know if you heard, but yeah, if you've seen Spiderverse, come let me know so I can give you the link and we can talk spoilers in a minute. Where did that link go?
Fair enough. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna post it on the chat. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. No, I was trying to find my link. There you go. So yeah, I guess like the Taliban are against drug trade, and so that's why they're stopping this stuff. What's funny is the meme that got me to see this in the first place. Share screen. So that's the article link, but if you go back, here's the meme. It says, "No, you have to grow heroin for the international drug trade," and then the other guy's like, "Allah has forbidden it." Have you seen this meme, either of y'all? This the good doctor.
No.
Oh my god, it's hilarious. It's like he's like all triggered because he's supposed to be an autist, but he's supposedly, I guess, he's a good surgeon, and so he's like, "I'm a good surgeon," and the guy just looks at him like, "Right."
No.
The fact that they made him Taliban.
Of course. Very good at his job.
Oh my god. What is this picture? What's on CIA pen on the guy?
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, I watched a few episodes of it and I just dipped out. I was like, yeah, that's enough for me.
All right, let's look at this Marty boys. Oh my god, why did it not let me? I guess I have to be on YouTube to click the link. Fuck. Yeah, Mary Boys. That's what. Yeah, I've seen that. This is like a second chance campaign. Let me look up Fund My Comic. I think a week ago we had the AR-13L Little Mermaid parody.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah,
that one looks awesome.
I shared that one a lot, but it's just not for me, because
Oh, what? Have you seen the trailer? That's so
I
fucking
think,
meta.
yeah, it's badass.
Mary.
I just need, just mostly for men. You know what I mean?
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I told you it wasn't Marty Boys.
Well, whatever.
The Hardy Boys.
Close enough.
Hey, what's up, Keely Chow? He's joined the meat pit.
Keely Chow.
Here we go. Mary Boys. Tales of the Teenage Knights Templar in a Very Broken Britain. They have a trailer?
I don't know.
The site's pretty new.
No, I know the site's new, but I meant like you can link a trailer. I just don't know if they made one.
No, I so far as I know, I don't know if there's a trailer or not.
I kind of like this wacky art. It's not like what I look for, but this just has a lot of personality. This looks like a professional indie comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So far, I'm the only backer, I think. So I don't know how it's going to go.
2 backers. Let me see. The goal's $500. But it's a keep it all instead of like a flexible goal where it's like, well, I'll take whatever money I get. But yeah, the lowest tier is $19 and shipping $23 for I guess the basic book. I'm not quite sure. And then they got a couple cover variations. So they got an old book and new book tier. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean trailers. I'm used to having Indiegogo and Kickstarter normally have trailers in them. So I mean, I could maybe try later. Look up for a trailer.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. And anyone should go check it out. Let me check the chat really quick.
He's got killed by a fucking grunt. So I scratched my head and wasn't paying attention.
Loser.
Whoops.
Oh, just hanging out with Wiz, Keely Chow, and yourself here in the chat. we talking some Spiderverse spoilers? I saw it once. I'll probably go see it again. But no, it's funny talking about the popcorn thing because when I went to those like 4 movies in a row, man, all I ate was like large popcorns. And
I can't eat that much popcorn. Like even a bowl is like.
See, this is why you're going to lose the duel.
Because I can eat less popcorn.
You have no willpower.
I can eat less popcorn.
No willpower.
I have
you buy a large tub of popcorn, you finish it.
You
dig in it.
I don't feel compelled to finish eating.
The price
popcorn.
you paid should compel. You worked for the money.
I just usually don't get popcorn.
What? This guy doesn't have air conditioning. He doesn't buy popcorn. Why are we friends?
I said usually don't buy popcorn.
No, I'm crazy. I'm crazy,
again, man.
When and
they lace that shit with something.
I love kettle corn. All right, and so when I find it available, I buy kettle corn and then I add kettle flavor shaker on the kettle, so I get a double dose of kettle. Ultra kettle popcorn.
No. Super kettle. No.
No, ultra.
No.
And so kettle you might hear it whistle.
Yeah, I fucking love kettle corn. It's the perfect blend of sweet and salty.
I feel like you're just giving me more reason.
Again.
You're just pointing out more reasons why I'll win the.
No.
Because
I have a plethora of enjoyable. I have a wide palette of enjoyment in food.
If I put
but also
in front of you,
with
you'll
that,
just scarf it down.
With that, I have a wide palette of healthy foods I can tolerate. I'm like, I double my testosterone eating shellfish, steak, beans, and fish, and reducing carbs. Double my testosterone. Not even trying. Not even working out. Double it in a year. And you're like, tuna, it's cat food. That's wild.
Yes.
So, as wide as the palate is for trash food, it's also full bore for healthy food. I'll power through celery sticks. I'll rip open and mush up that grapefruit.
You're
going down.
Popcorn in front of you, you'll fucking scarf your face down with it.
Oh, no.
That's where I could go, no more, sir. I do not need.
No. I have willpower.
We'll see. We'll see, my friend.
I'm the fucking Green Lantern.
What the hell?
It's like after me, I'm like, all right, when's it stopping? When's it stopping?
Trying to pull like an Adam Sandler or some shit. I think of Jim Carrey.
I'm like, man, that's a long one. I'm like, what the hell was it gonna?
I'm like, yes, and
That's
retort.
All. That's it. Okay. Does more need
are a meathead.
Must more need to be said after that? I think point is taken.
So okay, I'm pretty I'm ex-army, Keely, so I've eaten MREs, and so I have that's the other reason I'll win. I have that army just basic mentality. When I go to work, people treat me like I'm weird because I'm just like, you know what? I don't need to crap out of the vending machine. I have a can of beans in my locker, and so I just crank open that can of black beans and I just wolf that shit down.
Yeah,
like,
Oh, it's not cooked. You eat black beans out of a can.
And it's like, I don't know. I'm a fucking man.
That is kind of a sin.
I'm a man.
You eat cold beans. How?
I don't need a bib and a high chair and mommy to cook my beans. Like
The cold beans. Ugh.
yeah.
All I know is that the Duel of the Fats we won for the century.
Wine versus your soda.
Yeah, mine tastes better.
Fuck no. Like Coke
Fuck
is
yes.
great. Coke is great, especially with alcohol. But
I don't got
wine,
alcohol, but I got some weed.
Good.
the Greeks lived on wine, my friend. And look at their statues. They're fucking gods. Perfect
I'm worried though, but
physical
as soon as I take the
specimens.
weed, then I'm gonna be out.
So yeah, some of y'all. So I was saying, Keely, it was seafood, the best clams. Like I don't like Red Lobster or whatever. If I can get fancy shit, scallops, fuck yeah. But I'm basic as fuck. A lot of my shellfish is out of a can. I get like smoked oysters at Kroger, and I wolf them down. Smoked mackerel out of a can. I'll buy like a fillet of fish and season it. One thing I love, it's my own kind of concoction. I do rye bread with like the seeds in it, hummus, some a fish fillet, whatever kind, probably cod, a white fish, like a North Atlantic fish, some light seasoning, salt, pepper, and a couple cuts of bacon. That is a sandwich. That is a sandwich, my friend.
Lettuce, cheese, ham, and spinach.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
more. Keep going.
That's
Olives,
the end of the
tomatoes,
sandwich. That was
double
the end
onion-
of the sandwich.
double onion, all mayonnaise or olive oil.
So ruin the sandwich. Gotcha.
No,
Yes.
no. Olive oil is to lubricate the sandwich for full, enjoyment. I don't want a dry sandwich.
What? You put
It's gonna get
oil
stuck in my
on the
throat.
bun, or where do you put it?
On the veggies, probably.
Yeah, oil.
Soak.
Well, like in New York, like state, you go to any fucking sub sandwich place and you're like, you get to the end and you're like, yeah, oil and shakers. And it's like, no problem. And then you go anywhere else, they're like, shakers? What's a shake? It's like, I don't know, the fucking seasoning you shake on the sandwich.
Duh, which button do I hit again, boss?
It's so infuriating. Like they act like shaker. That's who could come up with the
It's
word
like
shaker.
it's like doing algebra for sandwiches.
it's so infuriating when you get like cultured a bit. You go outside the box and then you come back in the box and you're in like fucking Hills Have Eyes retard land.
Then I need some caffeine. I can't find shit.
God, that wine, it's so good.
All right, this
And
tea's
healthy.
gonna have to do.
And healthy. It's good for your heart. In moderation, which is what I do. I got like 2 6-packs on top of the fridge. Just like it takes me like a year to go through a 6-pack. I don't drink a lot. Bookmarks. So I showed the Taliban. What do you think of this? I won't show the clicks. I don't want to get like any copyright. But Pierce Morgan had some OnlyFans chick on there. Cute blonde, 25. Elle Brooke. I don't know if you know her or not, but would asked about like, aren't you worried about having kids? Like what they'll say about your career? And she said they can cry in a Ferrari. I love it.
Nice.
I love it. Like
They say they can cry in a cooter for some.
Before we talk Spiderverse, do you want to hear a brutally honest review of ISOM?
Oh no!
Sure.
I guess what? I managed to get ISOM, but for free. Don't tell nobody. I basically just pirated that shit. But if I like it, I'll buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, give us the brutal review.
Well, it's not my review. I happened to just read this beforehand. I'm trying to find it exactly where it's at. This guy, like 26 followers, he made a review. And okay, found the link. All right, so let me share this shit. Stop my cam. Yeah, rookie seafood. That's going to be a huge bonus for your for the dual the fats. It's going to help you if you add seafood to your diet. Don't care if you like it. You need to learn to suck it up. If you want the benefits of life, you got to suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is all about. And you're going
Sure,
okay.
I'm sure there's a song about that somewhere.
So
Gotta
before we
suck it
start,
up.
do you guys think he's gonna hit another like when he launches ISOM 2? Do you think he's gonna hit another 3 million, or do you think it's gonna be definitely be lower?
Probably 1.5 to 2.
It'll probably be about the same or lower. I would not think he's going to top. Like, I don't think he's got the momentum like EVS does with Cyberfrog, where it's like, I think Cyberfrog after reading number 2 is overhyped, I guess, right now. Like, if he could turn it around after this book 2, then like I'll say it. Like I plan to do a review of Cyberfrog because I just think there's like after that great, amazing, fairly unique. Like it felt familiar, but it's unique in its own right. Opening, retelling of
definitely.
Cyberfrog, of Blood Honey, and then Wrecked Planet is like such a letdown for me. The art is goddamn amazing because CVS, he's great at his art. He spent 3 years drawing this, and it shows the amount of work he put into like everything, and the colorist as well, and Eric Weathers lettering.
Yeah. You gotta
It's
give man his credit, man.
top to
He's
bottom.
definitely talented.
Artistic, like it is. Like if people were being fair, this is probably one of the best drawn comics ever made. But story, I just feel like I think I've told Wergy this. I think narratively, switching from Chelson to Cyberfrog for narration, or Heather Swain, whoever is like the actual narrator, or both. Like it doesn't work. I think Cyberfrog reads like I don't know, like Ben Grimm, The Thing or something. Like he reads like I'm a clobbering time, you know, like
oh god.
You know, and that's fine. The character is fine being that and being kind of like minimal in his worldview.
Okay.
Like, I'm totally fine with that. I just think the actual like narration of the story really hurts switching it from Chelson to, and I think that's maybe part of the story though. Is like Chelson's missing, and so, yeah, that's like one thread to finish. But
yeah, without having read the second one, I like in the first one the like defeatist kind of narration from Chelson throughout it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it feels
Made it
tragic
interesting that way. Yeah,
and it
when I was
ends
reading
on tragic.
When I was reading Blood Honey, I thought it was all right. I mean, probably because stuff like I just like different stuff, pretty much. I mean, I'm trying to give it a shot. I haven't got Wrecked Planet yet, though.
Wait, really quick. You were reading Invincible. How far are you into that?
I finished it actually.
Like the whole comic, or just that volume?
The one that I got, yeah. I mean, obviously, I think there's more. Obviously,
yeah, there's like 140 issues. I'm like, holy shit!
Yeah,
you read the whole Invincible? God damn!
Yeah, no, I just finished what
Busy
I
girl.
had. That big ass book that you probably saw on my Twittered about it. I finished it. So I mean, I finished that. You know, yeah,
Nice.
and it's good enough for me to keep continuing, but also I think, man, so much goddamn filler. Just like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of comics is just dragging on. Like, you know, they got to stretch it out. Filler, like you said. Really quick. This like under my statues, this shelf is all graphic novels. I got a mix smash collection because I got a couple of like copies on eBay of like these hardbound volumes, and they're pretty cool, and they got like extra art in the back and stuff. But then because I have a lot of credit at one of the local comic book stores from trading stuff, I'm kind of thrown for a loop because now I have volume 3 that's like 50 issues.
man.
And so now I got to go back and get 1 and 2 and then get rid of those hardbound.
Yeah,
or I'll have
I
extra
think that's-
because of
wait.
the extra content in that.
Oh.
This is,
Oh yeah, that's what I had. The Compendium, where it had the.
compendium.
That's what I had. I destroyed mine. I mean, not like I still have it, but
I destroyed
shit
it.
out of it.
Not just the men, but the books too.
Yes. Very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
I printed the shit out of mine.
So yeah,
unfortunately.
like you see behind me, I got a bunch of comics. I got to sort out right there. But
Yeah, I
like, my
got a nice
shelf's
little
full
mess.
of graphic novels. Yeah. There you go. Let me fix this. Oh god, totally wrong spot.
Your room is pretty cool though.
Yeah, years of collecting. My newest piece is that Mystique piece right there. I love it.
That's what I need help with. Like, I have like a little box of comics, and I'm like, what do I do with this?
Yeah, I've got a
Get a
bunch of
long
comics
box.
now too. Angus has literally sent me like 50 comic books, and then books that I bought from comics creators. So
Yeah, you just gotta get a long box.
only a few.
Oh yeah, it's because I was asking myself, like, how do comic pros do it? How do they? You know, I just right now they're just in a box, and I'm like,
They have like a
Oh.
pile.
The other thing
Wow.
I do, because I don't collect much DC, but usually like when I'm in like the like trash bin of like dollar comics, whatever, I'll be like, "Ooh, that's a cool cover." I'll grab one issue of like a story, and then it's like that's my mark to go online and read the story. Oh my god, she's dying.
She's puking. No, no. We bordered a
Killed her.
puke. We bordered a barf. Hang in there.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah,
Josh.
yeah. The owl. I'll send you a link where you can get it. I think I've spent like $25 for that poster. But you've watched me enough, Poppy. You know I've gotten into like Hellenism a bit, so that's why I have Athena and her owl behind my head. That's the guiding light in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's dig
Okay.
into this ISOM review that just dropped by just like a no-name guy. He's, you know, it's not like he's getting a big following for this, and he's already got reply guys on like this. There it is. This comes from
like certain fandoms. Like, why are they so like?
Well,
I mean,
because we're beating Hollywood, we're beating the comic industry. You know, it's like I think you've really set like a huge mountain in front of you that like you've not even gotten to like the first level of.
I mean, I'll probably never be in his position, but if I ever see my fans like doing the half day shit that his fans are doing, I'm like, guys, stop! Like, you're
You know what
making me
this
look bad.
is? This isn't being negative. This is just like the reality we're in. We're so polar in our politics, and that really defines who we interact with. Well, yeah, you could get along with someone pretty well on, you know, your fandom, but oh, you're a Trumper, you're a Biden, whatever. That's like that cuts people off for no reason. When it's like actually pretty infinitesimal how much that really affects. Like, I don't know, in some ways it really does, because like, oh, you're vote for this guy, then your support like China virus lockdowns and, you know, essentially the state putting a gun in my face to make me comply. You're kind of my enemy, you know. And so like in some ways this politics stuff really does matter, and it's kind of good that this is at the forefront of people's personal interactions. But at the other time, it's like we can't even just like go to the store and like be friends because of like how polar everything is making us.
Man, that's kind of sad. I mean, I understand. Like, I'd rather have people buy my shit because they are actually interested in my story, and not my politics. Like, I just
right. So for me, making meth gators, like my stance being constant, so it's like I don't care what you are, who you support, but you're not. I think one of the problems in Confiscate is like there's this like customer respect, and some people misconstrue that like, oh, you're a content creator and I'm a reader, you can't block me. It's like you have no right to my Twitter access. Versus like you can read my shit, say what you want about it, good or bad. You don't have a right, especially if you're like antagonistic and I just don't like you. It's like you're just throwing my side, block. Don't care.
Right.
If that influences you to not bat me because I blocked you on Twitter, then like fine, that's your prerogative. There's people I've been blocked by because of blockchains that I've never interacted with that are comic pros, and it's like I don't care. They write good shit. They write cool shit. I'm not going to cry because they blocked me on Twitter. It's their own personal. It can be as personal or as corporate as they want. If it's like a corporate Twitter, then you probably should get blocked. But if it's like personal, it's totally your freedom. And I'm kind of in the middle with my Twitter. It's like, once I make products, it'll be kind of, you know, open to being like a corporate following of like Meth Gator comics, but it's still like me. And so if you're a thorn on my side, I'll block you. And that's kind of where I'm at. But what I'm talking about the politics though, is that populism is really blown up. It's been a factor for like 100 years in America, if not more, but it's like super at the forefront. Both sides of the aisle are looking for like the savior. And with that at the forefront of culture and politics, this is kind of how the persona, whether it's like misinterpreted by the fan base or not, I think a large part of the fan base is buying the comic not because they care really about the comic, but it's like we're going to own the libs, and this is the guy that's like the spear tip, you know, against the libs. The left could do this if they wanted. They've had a lot of monetary successes on the left with like crowdfunding, but it's like a shot across the bow when it's someone on the right or in the spectrum of the right. Like, Eric's an anarcho-capitalist, so theoretically he doesn't have a side, but it's all kind of conservative in today's world, his viewpoints. He's associated as a contributor in some form or fashion with the Blaze, and so there's a kind of like Republican, conservative, Fox News, whatever, following that's bigger than comics because of his channel. And so I think you have a lot of people backing him because of like team sports and not like the art of comics. And so yeah, he's a in this realm of comics, entertainment, whatever. He's like a populist figure. So I think that like with the lackluster kind of people kind of coming out and being like, yeah, it wasn't that great, or his cronies on YouTube are like, I haven't even read his book till just now because I've been getting called out for it, or like Flash on Flashcast is like, oh yeah, he can fly, and then Dick's like, wait, he can fly? I didn't know that wasn't clear. Shit like this going on where like people that are supposedly fans don't even fucking know what they're reading.
Yeah, that's bad.
This like, yeah, I think he'll like sustain and maybe have a slight decline. It could totally blow up bigger, but I just don't see it. Like that's the way it is with number ones in general. Number ones are always the biggest seller. Then it's always a decline, and you kind of find out 10 plus issues in what the actual reader base is consistently. But yeah, let's dig into this review. Ice number 1 by Rev at Reveneer. So let me see his Twitter really quick. It's Jihadi Weeaboo. I don't know what this guy's Twitter's about, but yeah, he made this review, and we're going to read it. There it is. When I first started thinking critically about the entertainment medium I consumed, I quickly began to accept that this was shit. That what was shit was shit. That what was okay, and that people would consume what they would consume. It was impossible to correlate viewership or money spent to whether or not the product was good. The first major example was Sword Art Online. By any metric, that shit was awful. By any metric, this anime, I don't know what LN is, was bad. Every aspect of its story and character development was awful and made no sense. Every scene that was meant to convey tension was incredibly dumb, and you were meant to ignore every dumb event in favor of the tension that the scene was meant to be conveyed, only serving to advance the plot. Initially, I saw that in a critical light, but soon thought nothing of it because there was no point. It was still popular, so I hate it. And that point I realized that there was some level of value in consuming media that wasn't that good, not for the sake of feeling a sense of hate, but because it broadened my perspective. Isom Volume 1 is a comic that broadens my perspective. That's an interesting way to start. I'll start with the main takeaway. If a friend, family member, or some random guy on the street asked you to describe Isom in one sentence, that task would be definitively be in the top 5 on a list of impossible challenges. The synopsis on Isom on the official site proves this. The synopsis is poor. Just read it for yourself. Actually, I'm going to go check that out really quick. Spiderverse. As someone that wants to create a comic, I'm like really taking all of this in and like applying it to myself. I don't even know how to explain it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If anything, you want to focus on the story before the art, because if you focus on more on the art, because then you might end up in this situation where like the art might be okay or even excellent or decent, but the story makes no sense. So it's like you really want to make sure, like you want to plot everything out. Like, hey, this is
Right. So on the campaign page, short story, Avery Silverman is a common rancher. That wasn't always the case. After obtaining some unique abilities, Avery spent a brief stint being a hero under the moniker Isom in the city of Florespark, Texas. Realizing that it wasn't for him, he walked away from this life, but after responding to a call from his sister, some violent altercations ensue and has Avery reconsidering his approach. What happened? Rabbi Isom wanted to find out. And then the bigger blurb on the page is Avery Silverman was once an entry-level hero known as Isom in Forest Park, Texas, shortly after gaining special abilities. A certain event had him hang up his suit, and now he stays on the outskirts of the city living as a rancher. All right, so that's annoying because me and Ricky have been reading this a little bit, and he tells the guy, like, all right, close up shop. I'm going to the city. And it's like, what is the shop? What do you do? Like, if I didn't read this blurb, I would have no idea thus far what his job is. And that could be like a reveal later, but it's like, it's in the air. You've opened up that detail. Now I'm questioning it. It's like, if my example is like, if Tony Stark has, you don't know who he is, you don't know he's Iron Man, but it's like, oh yeah, I just have missiles and money. And it's like, well, how?
I just say that only matters if it just really needs to be answered with it. I mean, if he has missiles and stuff, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that needs to be specifically stated what it is, but
I don't know. Missiles are expensive.
Read a little bit of Isom, and it's like, I don't know. Maybe he's just rich. It seems like.
So what they say his job was in the blurb here?
He's a rancher.
All right, yeah. I mean,
Which wasn't clear because he like, it starts out and he's being an athlete like Captain America punching a bag, and then it's like he gets a call and he's like, all right, I'm going to town.
Well, no. So my point is, it doesn't matter because he doesn't mention what job it is in the story because that is irrelevant to the story part. If his job if his job was revealed later that it was something more significant, that like he could have used that type of thing in a situation.
Stop. No. I just got to make this clear. All right, if you're a rancher, that means you have livestock. That means you farm livestock. All right. And so if you watch like Yellowstone, that's like a pop culture microcosm example of what ranchers deal with, you know. And factory farming has really put out mom and pops from being able to actually make a profit doing this. And that's a factor in that show is like, you haven't made profit in 3 years being a family ranch. And now Californians and city people are encroaching on the wild open Montana, and that's like a big overarching theme of that show. And so that's like one example of ranching. You watch any Western or modern, like I Got a Ranch, it's like however big or small, even if you have like a real sustained job, like my stepdad and his dad, they were small ranchers. They had maybe 100 head of cattle, but they work for the highway department. So it's kind of like a secondary, but it's like when they're not working at their job, they got to spend all their time making sure the cattle, especially like winter, you got to make sure they got, feed or hay. You got to make sure they ain't falling in the fucking pond. You got to make sure the pond's broken up so they can actually drink out of it, not iced over. So all these factors just with like simple shit like that. This takes up a lot of time. Got to put a lot of expenditure into it. Even if you got hands to help you, it's a lot. So if he's a rancher and got a big thing, that's like a huge time commitment or expenditure on help to do it. So
based on what it sounds like is that it wasn't his thing in the first place. He got onto it, and he's just he's a helping hand, if anything. And I don't know, like it's just like
he's a rancher. It's like I'm assuming it's his ranch. So whether he's got hands that deal with the day-to-day shit, or if, like that he has to deal with the overhead, or he's doing it himself, and it's like that was not clear at all. And it's like if he's not upkeeping it, if like all I know is he's got one guy helping him so far, and it's like reading the blurb, he makes this a point like he's a rancher. So it's like I'm thinking of like, well, whatever superhero shit he's done or is going to do, this is still like he's got to go back home and deal with this. So it's like if there's no like awareness of it in the story, then it's like, what was the point? This is part of your sell pitch.
Yeah, I must have missed that.
I don't know, man. I feel like that's not a common thing that people are worrying about with it.
A tip of the hat to Dukes of Hazzard, Meth Gator, and how him and his surrogate father survive in a sort of modern world. They're out in the boonies in the swamps. They are moonshiners, and so that's like a job that you just buy corn. You can make a batch or make batches, or you can like take a break.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's not like I'm farming the corn, and so I got to make sure I till the ground. I got to make sure I plant it. Got to make sure it's like well fertilized. They're not farmers. They're distillers, so they can dip in and out whenever they want. Technically, as long as they're upkeeping like financials, selling enough, they don't have to just moonshine every day.
Oh, that's good.
Get what I mean?
Did they present all that information in like a few minutes or throughout episodes or?
Oh yeah, moonshine's a big factor
It's
because it's like it's illegal. The
well,
IRS
no,
is
but that, I
after
guess
them.
that's the thing too. It's like we only read like 15 pages in. I mean,
No. I'm saying like it's a factor of like, well, what does he do? And then in the pitch of the campaign, he's a rancher, and it's like I had no clue. I thought he was just an athlete, fucking off. He's retired. He's got money, fucking off, and it's like, oh, he's a rancher. So that's like you have to put effort into that, and whether it's just financials and telling people to do shit, or you're doing it yourself.
Well,
No idea that he's a
Tony
rancher.
Stark is like the owner of a company and he doesn't do anything regarding it, which it's like, oh, well, he has other people. Yeah, but it still requires your attention and signatures and everything.
No,
It's
that's part of
we
the
don't-
first movie. It's very, and it's he's dealing with it throughout the series. You know, it's like that's how he funds. He owns Stark Industries, and he's retrograded it because of his experience. He's gone away from weapons manufacturing. The only weapon stuff is Iron Man now. He is not contributing to loss of life with his industry. He's not indiscriminate as long as it makes some money anymore because he's
my
experienced turmoil.
my point is that we don't know how necessary it is for him to keep his job at the freaking ranch. You know, if he's like,
Sure,
in one
but I
episode.
have no
So
idea
until that's
in the
yeah,
book
but
so far. He's
that
in a
whole
rancher.
thing makes it so pointless to have that be fixated on. That's why it's just like if you started to
We have no
watch
idea
something
the
and you
extent of his
don't
powers.
know,
We don't know how invincible he is to his foes. All right. So how is he like paying for anything if he's like out of the suit? Like, you know, you watch The Boys, you get an understanding of like, all right, these guys are funded by the pharma corporation that the bought. So like they just have to do the PR shit and, you know, kiss babies, wave to the crowd, and do hero shit on missions. And they're paid for. If they step out of line, if they're bad PR, they get kicked off or they get like sent to a shithole city and forgotten. You know, they get like there's punitive measures. They get phased out.
But that is a
They get
heavy part.
retired.
That is a heavy part of the point of the show. If him
Right,
at the
but I'm
ranch
saying-
does not seem to be important to the story here.
No,
so
but you
far,
make
so
it
it's just-
clear how they are sustaining themselves. It's like, oh, Tony Stark owns a huge corporation that makes weapons for the military. And so it's like, well, I'm not questioning how he can do all these extravagant things, go to Vegas and blow millions at the crap table or something. It's like, well, he's got unlimited amounts of funds. Bruce Wayne has unlimited amounts of funds, and they do research. That's how he has all this tech. It's prototypes for the military.
I just don't. Again,
Spider-Man
don't need it to be right away.
Spider-Man, like he
Just don't need it
has
right
to like
away. I
engineer his webs.
My
like,
counter
chemistry.
would be I don't think that we must know that information about all those characters immediately either. That doesn't
Not
need to be
immediately.
clear right away.
But it's not
that's
clear at
so
all, and
not-
this is like
that's just
a
not a thing to
definitive in
fixate
the
on. I'd
story
just be like, why is
pitch.
this a thing we're talking about right now? I'd just be like, let's continue the story, and then if this seems to figure into the story, then it
Hey,
will.
what's up,
Then-
Stony?
Yeah.
We live in a society. I love you.
This is how conversations. This is how conversations with us go with like anything.
Yeah.
all
No,
the
yeah, I
time.
was listening. I actually called him Story because I was like, "Hi, Story." I was like, "Ah, shit."
His name used to be Stony McInternet douche,
Yes.
so he shortened it to Mick.
Yeah, but he's still internet douche to us though.
All right, so that was just the first line in the story pitch. Avery's sister Altona gives him a call and wants him to visit an old friend by the name of Darren Fontano,
Otherwise known as Cat Williams to us.
another family friend that was interning with Altona has gone missing, and she was last heard dealing with Darren. But Darren has. It's funny the name Darren, but then you see him and it's like he's kind of like, you know, a hood gangster, you like kind of pimping or whatever, got a club, and it's like his name's Darren. It's like bad choice. Oh man, the bad guy Darren.
I mean, we had mixed opinions on some of the names. That's true.
The movie Hoodwinked makes a funny gag with if you ever seen Hoodwinked, spoiler, it's like 20 years old now. It's kind of like in the realm of Shrek. It's an irreverent take on fairy tales, mainly Red Riding Hood. But you have like this cute little bunny, and it turns out he's the bad guy setting all of
The
this
little
stuff in
ninja
motion.
bunny.
And he's got henchmen. He's got a guy named Boris and then he's got this guy like, wait, what's your name? He's like Kyle. He's like, change your name. He's like, oh, look out for Kyle. That's what I mean. It's like when I hear, ooh, the menace of Isom is Darren. It's like, oh, come on.
Maybe the names upgrade as it goes.
But yeah, Darren has much changed since he was hanging out with Avery when they were young. He's a cold-blooded shot caller and one of the most feared men in the city. This visit turns into one of the longest days in Avery's life. Around these parts, people call special beings Excepts. And unfortunately for Avery, he has the luxury of running into some of them. The Alpha Core and Yaira, another name I hate. I hate Yaira. It just doesn't roll off the tongue for me. If it was Yara, that would be so much smoother. The Yai, it's like ay, like
I'm okay with the Ira because it seems so uncommon. But
sure, it sounds exotic. It just it's just a language thing for me. I hate the enunciation. Yaira. Have their own set of conflicts. A man built like a tank by the name of Santuan reappears. Again, Santuan. It's
that one's a little
it's a little tongue tie. You know what I mean? Santuan.
That makes me think of Drake and Josh, where Josh is like trying to be in an afro. He's like, "Yo, my name is Antoine."
Yeah, reappears and he's had previous confrontation with Avery. So what happens with Avery and Darren's meeting? Who and where is the family friend? Just grab Isom 1, ill-advised part 1, and find out for yourself. So that is the more in-depth description story in the campaign. So let me go back to this review.
We spent like 20 minutes talking about the job thing.
The synopsis is poor. Just read it for yourself and then compare it to any other synopsis of 99% of media that you have indulged in. And you will understand the point. You cannot discern any inkling about what this book is about prior to reading it. All story summaries, synopses, trailers, etc. are designed to do this, yet Isom fails spectacularly at this task. It doesn't just go for a participation trophy, but for first place in this regard. You cannot glean anything about the story and characters from it. It's vaguer than vague, and that actually translates to the biggest issue of the book. Isom Volume 1 reads like what would be Volume 5. It assumes that readers either know or don't give a shit about basic background information that only the author knows. This, again, the ranch thing, I had no idea. If I was just an athlete, he's just like, I got money, I'm retired. Annoying. If it comes up later in the story, like, cool, it rounds out, but it's already a thought in my head, like, close up the shop. Like, what is the shop? It does. He's retired.
We already had this discussion. Let's just move.
You could be retired and just living on a VA pension of like, a couple grand a month. That's not a lot,
It's just not relevant till it's relevant.
Oh my god, disagree hard. Let's see who.
Yeah, that's why he was getting really defensive about that too. Like, he's like, wasn't like, what was it? Oh yeah, Dick Masterson was asking about the superpowers. So I saw that clip, and he goes like, well, I don't have to hold your hand. I'm like, dude, that's what the whole point of superhero comics is. I guess you want to show it, but at least make it, like.
Well, like in Miles Morales, the original like 3-volume run, he's got Spider-Man powers, and it's like, whoa, like, why am I doing this? Well, it must have been that spider. Oh shit, am I a Spider-Man? And then it's like later on, it's like, oh, he can like against his will, he can like turn invisible at times. He can't control it yet, and then he can do like this electric shock is another power, and that's like that's in the movies, and they show it like, whoa, I can do that. Fuck, and so potentially there's more he can do that he hasn't tapped into, but like they're kind of clear.
Well, I mean, I'd say with what we even read, we haven't read all of it yet. We just read like the first 15 pages or so. I mean, it's clear that he has some kind of super strength and durability with it. He gets dropped on a car and punches a dude's rib cage open, pretty much. It's like, okay, so he definitely
apparently that guy comes back in the story, which is like, how, like, why would you draw it that way and be like, oh, he's fine?
Oh, maybe there's more to that too. That
he could be an accept. But oh man, the fact that he's calling like his like superhumans, his metahumans, his mutants, he's calling them excepts. Again, that doesn't roll off the tongue either.
I mean, yeah, but at this point, it's kind of like so many names are taken. I don't know what you should pick for the name either. I don't know.
Oh, his powers are exceptional. He must be an except. And just saying except, it's like an X. Like, is that an abbreviation? And you're like, no, like exceptional. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Superpowers, who cares? Motivation in relation to the girl he is asked to save. Again, he doesn't give a damn about her. Isom at one point outright says that he cares more about being insulted than about resolving Jasmine's situation. He's a guy whose story runs in circles, attempts to receive the retribution he requires to assuage his ego. Meanwhile, he actually starts the volume by saying he's only doing this because his mom would be disappointed in his grown man ass if he didn't help her. Isom's motivations flip on a dime comparable to that of a bipolar woman in an unstable relationship. The protagonist, quote unquote, is a blatant asshole. Personally, I like that. I like dickhead characters because their volatility can very easily drive a narrative and advance the plot while keeping entertainment high. A great example, Civil War, when you're like, all right, we're at this point, and then he's like, I don't care. He killed my mom. Like, that's a bit volatile.
Yeah,
that's he's gotten emotional. It's like technically Cap is the right guy in the story, but emotionally, it's like Prisoners. It's like, God, this is fucked up. But it's like, if you're a parent, you're like, yeah, turn that hot water on that fucker.
I feel like you could have had this setting in in the city, but it's like walled off, like almost like a prison city where like everyone's a criminal, pretty much, or something.
For Civil War.
What?
Well, I mean, like because emotionally, right? You're talking about like he more like fights like as if they're in a prison, pretty much. It's like, oh, you know, I was just going up.
Yeah,
respect. Sorry.
Yeah, that's like a big thing apparently with Isom is like, oh, you disrespected me, I'm going to kick your ass. And it's like, I don't know if you're an exception.
That's what I was going off of us. It sounds like he should have done it where everyone was a criminal, even the superheroes, or something like that. And that way it would make more sense of him reacting such a way, you know?
Yeah. Continuing. And while easy, it's also very risky when you make that character not a side character or antagonist, but instead the main character. The author immediately tears that down. The comic starts with Isom receiving a call from his sister. He's alluding to this self-insert. I actually don't have a problem if this is a self-insert for Eric. It's just it's something that character-wise it kind of matches what you see in his videos. Isom receiving a call from his sister. He immediately tells her to fuck off. Again, hilarious. Before he eventually acquiesces to the demands due to his sister invoking Miss Avery, a well-known to the community churchgoer who is never mentioned again, as well as him recalling about how his mom would be pissed if he didn't follow through with this request. The most beta of Mama's Boy thoughts, or perhaps thoughts of a kid beaten to fucking abused by his mom. You choose. If you're going for a comedy story, this would actually work. Isom's tough initial demeanor, juxtaposed with immediately showing submission to his sister and mom, is actually funny. But his story is serious, so Isom immediately agreeing to do something he clearly does not want to do is stupid. He needs far more of a reason to be drawn back to the city, which he states he despises and had to walk away from. But yet again, he agrees to do what he doesn't want to do for completely unknown reasons. Arriving at the city, Isom searches for a supposed childhood friend turned evil business empire overlord, Darren, who has perhaps dabbled in crime. This would be decent setup if not for the vagues, which is an uncomfortable common theme of the volume. He talks to Darren, and Darren proceeds to describe Isom. This is odd because it has nothing to do with the conversation. Isom describing Darren makes sense. Isom is looking for Jasmine. Isom describing in-depth Darren's rep as a never-do-well makes sense as the audience doesn't know him, and he is a direct link to Isom's objective. After all this is the first meeting that the readers are allowed to see, thus allowing Darren's characterization. But instead, Darren characterizes Isom. Why? Darren says Isom was basically a nobody who had ended up achieving nothing in life, explaining he's jealous he had a good upbringing compared to him. Darren had to build himself up. He struggled. Guess I misinterpreted that they used to be homies. And all of this over some random girl Isom asked about. There's so much weird, unjustified rage in this comic that's difficult to relate to that we see now and going forward. Why does Darren need to go on a diatribe about how hard his life was in comparison to Isom because of some chick? Just tell him to F off and that it isn't his business who works for him and who doesn't. This is not the first example of dropping the ball exposition-wise, but it is the first major example. Darren kicks him out.
When we read past that point in our reading with it, I did think that Darren saying all this stuff to him was like way unprompted, sort of. It was just
it's funny because it's like, oh, an old friend Darren. You're thinking like they've gone very separate paths since school, but then Darren's like, I always hated you, and you're nobody, and fuck you.
I just like, to me, even that dialogue would be fine with me as long as it like got there a little better. I don't know. It seemed just like, you are here now, and this is what I'll say to you. And it's like,
right. I just read. This is my first Deadpool comic. I got this new Deadpool series by Rob Liefeld, who's the guy that like made Deadpool. He either made Deadpool or he's like the big writer of Deadpool. It kind of really defined him after the first guy. Yeah. Not sure. But it's like, even though it's not a great comic, to like, ooh, I want to read more Deadpool. It's like they give you the prompt into the story before you start reading, and it's like, oh, there was this guy that was like friends with Deadpool, and then they went very separate ways, and he got used, and so Deadpool feels bad for him, so he wants to recover him in this like monster state and rehabilitate him out of his guilt forever. Like he's a pawn in someone else's game because of Deadpool. And it's like, okay. And it's pretty clear, like the motivation from the opening blurb. And then like it continues with the actual story where it's like, okay, I totally see it. However simple and short, it's like a 30-page comic, but
yeah.
Good comparison of just like, this is just like a random one I grabbed from the store. It's a number one. Let me see. Darren kicks him out of the club because why the fuck should he entertain a guy asking about some girl and shit he has no business asking about? Again, Darren is right, apart from the odd rant he went on before kicking Isom out. Feeling insulted, Isom proceeds to fight Darren's security. Security brings out an Accept, awful name, but I admit I've seen far worse, who beats Eric's ass and throws him outside the building into another random superhuman named Yaira.
He just called him Eric instead of Isom. Right?
I didn't even realize that. Well, he made a joke earlier of like, he's like, Eric, Isom.
Yeah.
They bump into each other in oddly funny fashion. I don't think Ripa meant to be funny with the shit he makes funny, but he is. Yaira proceeds to turn into a retard and fight Isom for no reason. This scene is a waste of time and should not have occurred. I don't know why Ripa thought this was necessary, but them bumping into each other was more than enough if he just wanted to introduce previews for a spinoff. In fact, it's a perfect example of portraying the mystery he attempted to purvey but failed to do so. Your hot white Captain Marvel does not need to fight your MC, you idiot. Showing her once is enough. Because they do show her quickly earlier, and then like there's other supers that pop, accepts that pop up, and they get like name reveals. Isom fights Yaira and is then sent to the hospital due to Yaira dropping him out of the sky. Doctors explain that based on their test, he isn't an accept, but instead a normie. But wait, the doctors say normie should not survive the fall that he did. Why the fuck don't you just clarify whether he's a superhero, has specific powers, or is just using a tool to enhance his natural abilities here? From a storytelling point of view, this is the perfect opportunity to do so. Instead, all you get from the doctors is, wow, strange bracelet he is wearing, huh? In the end, the bracelet just seems to be a transmitter to message his sister when he needs some help. This whole segment of the comic is blatantly amateur hour writing, completely blue balls. This portion of the comic does not need to exist. An editor would delete this portion completely. We go on to have a scene where Eric arrives at the sister's house. He talks about how his sister's husband, likely dead, but is not explicitly stated. He could have just disappeared, I guess. Far more exposition than Isom got somehow. But the oddest thing is that the discussion is right in front of his niece. Did the husband die when she was an infant? He says it's been hard on her, so I would guess no. For most kids who lost a parent, it isn't really ideal to randomly walk in and talk about their dead dad. But what the F do I know? Any normal kid of age would immediately be depressed or crying because this would kill the mood. At least put her in the room sleeping or at least crying herself to sleep. Don't make her a bot who doesn't give a shit. Isom then proceeds to explain that his sister may be in danger due to his interactions with Darren. No shit, dude. His solution to this, go to confront Darren again, of course. He arrives at Club Merc, Darren's ironically named club. He then says he will beat the F out of anyone, employee or customer, that stands in the way of him talking to Darren. Again, unhinged behavior that is only surprising if you don't realize he is based off you-know-who. Santuan, the Accept, shows up again, but this time Isom beats him by bouncing off a wall and slamming the Accept into an opposing wall. At this point, I feel bad for the artist. This scene was so retarded that I can't really criticize how it was drawn. Every action scene is so drably laid out that I can't blame the artist, just the guy telling them what to draw. The cops show up and Isom runs from them. He then finally decides he is back in the game. Remember, if you think that Isom was back in it at any other point than this, according to Eric July, you are wrong.
Are you reading the whole review?
Yeah. The comic ends teasing more shit that isn't needed with Norfolka. Again, hilarious, but I'm more concerned about Isom in the main story. So this is not needed. From my reading, there's only one more paragraph. From my reading, I would really like to get the impression that this is a botched attempt at a comedy comic with some action to accentuate things. But unfortunately, that isn't the case. Isom is nonsensical, poorly thought out, and lackadaisically organized. And not ultimately not a funny comic that attempts to masquerade as a completely serious one. I know this shit has gone long, so if you've stuck with me until now, hopefully you get my points and will understand conclusion, even if you disagree. Very likely, Eric Ripa is just so bad at setting up a story in his mind, he just jumped to what he wanted to overall show his audience. He wanted to make a strong black guy with a chip on his shoulder who has to deal with situations that he really doesn't want to deal with, but has to because of his situation and principles. And in that sense, and in Ripa's reaction to his criticism, the character sounds rather unfortunately just like the author himself. This work is not good. It doesn't carry the value that it deserves to be good. The hype around Volume 1 was truly genuine. Customers want something to believe in the wake of shit media that appealed to few, but managed to get undeserved money and attention from many. It's sad to see that they will not be getting a product deserving of their investment, but I guess that's just marketing and just what anyone deserves who thinks this product is near even average. He gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
Damn.
All right.
And the end kind of wraps up.
I would. If I read that stuff about mine, I'd be like, okay, I'm never writing it again. I mean,
hold on, let me catch up the chat. All right, so Stony says it only matters as much as it matters. I will always be as douchey as Angus is white. Well, I'm half, so. Tim says, so is Isom any good? I've heard mixed things.
That is the summary. It is mixed.
Hey, Adolf was just a name before that Hitler guy showed up. Yeah, it's actually true. By the sounds of it, no, but I got a free version. He says Wizard. Let me throw my 2 cents. I have been doing my own comics, and you will realize very quickly that the general audience are stupid.
I mean, it's probably kind of true.
If you aren't making a work for general audiences, that's fine, but you have to expect that people will need things explained to them. Yeah, what I've read so far, it seems like he's really banking on you, just like, wait for me to tell you later. And it's like, when it's everything.
I mean, I understand why he's probably burnt out trying to tell people, so maybe he could like make a website or something and explain it and then leave it in his bio or something, and every time someone asks him, he's like, look in my bio and I explain it there or something like that.
Well, this makes me think of Force Awakens, kind of, where it's like, well, let's go to Luke Skywalker, and it's like, well, come back for the next movie and we'll explain all that, because that was just a mystery box to get to the end. But at least you had other things kind of like set up. You had intrigue, like it was positive intrigue where you get like a quarter, 10%, whatever of like, wait, what is that? Oh, where's that gonna go? And that's where you got all the speculation and theories. It was fun. This is like, I'm not theorizing shit so far. I'm just like, what is the answer? Like,
You just want to know what his job is.
that's a big one so far. Like, if they don't say anything about his job in this first issue of like 100 pages, and that's in your blurb, like he's a rancher, it's like I got no inclination of that so far. And if it's not addressed at all, like, oh man, I'm hurt. I'm hurt, and me being out medically is really going to affect my ranching. Something simple like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stoney brings up sort of a point at this. I feel applies more with Darren. Like, you know, he says that they don't explain much, but like that you were reading for like a full page or two of Darren's dialogue talking about ISOM.
And it's still not really explaining anything because it's all just like his perspective.
Which it's just for me, like I'm okay if there's, you know, some type of conversation like that again, but like it felt like it wasn't needed to be there. Essentially, just he insisted to talk about it.
Lots of information not needed, and then also not explained.
Yeah,
And it's like, man, double whammy.
But I mean, yeah, Angus and I have only read like 15 pages into it so far, so
I
can't
only
say the
read
whole
the-
thing. But it does sound like it. People that have talked about it, that's what's interesting with it. Sort of, it's like it. I don't know any details from people that have read it either, which is something like with like just
eager
feelings,
people
like,
eager to have gotten it or promoting it or they like it, and it's like, but why?
and it's like
Yeah,
with
that's what I
Cyberfrog.
find. It's
Go
just
ahead.
like they're so gun ho, and I understand. Yeah, like yeah, if he done none of that just by being anti woke, I give him props for that. Then, and even if his story is kind of flawed, it's just like, man, it's like I just thought the groups would be where discourse was kind of more loud. It's like no, it's like
Well, it's not even that like, oh, I have X agenda behind the product I'm making, but like he has like, you know, YouTube for like 10 years. He's gotten a following from critiquing modern media and the shortcomings, or the few like, hey, this is a good comic, or that I like this character. Well, I wish they do more. I remember seeing like, I think he said like his favorite Marvel character is like Dr. Voodoo, which I've saw an inkling of in Savage Avengers, which is kind of a cool team. It's got like Punisher, Dr. Voodoo, I think Elektra, a couple others. So it was like a cool mix mash of like middling to like street level heroes. So it's not like they can just get away with anything. I think Conan and Wolverine are in it too. So it's like a kind of crazy matchup. But anyway, yeah, so he's got like rounded content like that, not just like, this crap's woke and it sucks, and oh, look, of course it failed, or here's diversity and it failed, you know. He's got a history of like comic readers have been watching him and valuing his critiques. So I was like, oh, if this guy wrote a comic, you know, so it's not just like I'm a personality and I'm making a thing and I'm anti-woke or whatever. There is like there is like a fandom baggage of like valued criticism that would make you also intrigued of like, well, how would that guy write a comic? So it's not just the populism aspect like I was talking about.
oh, okay. Yeah. All right, thanks for telling me. I didn't know. I was just like, one day I just learned about him. I'm like, man, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how ISOM 2 does, because I'm worrying because I don't think all 300 are just straight from anti-woke people, but we'll see. But you know, I'm very interested in what the second cell.
It makes me think of I don't really watch anymore, but I remember when I was getting into the Menace and finding tangential stuff related. There was this guy, David Stewart, written a lot of books. And so he has a lot of like critique based stuff. And he talked about kind of, I think he was addressing like Phantom Menace and or Comicsgate. And I think you see the value of Comicsgate where it's like whatever criticism of the mainstream, it's like it's positive fandom because their Comicsgate is making stuff to remedy what they see as a problem. Whereas like Phantom Menace, like no one's making a movie. I mean, I think what's his name? Josiah's like building up a company to start making stuff. You got Daily Wire, which isn't Phantom Menace necessarily, but they've put in like 100 million or 300 million to make content to fight woke, content, whatever. So there is, stuff like that. But overall, it's just like this part of the woods in YouTube. It's just like, we hate that stuff. And David Stewart years ago was saying like, you don't really have longevity if it's like, we hate X thing. It's like, well, what do you like? What are you pushing for? And if you don't have that, it's not really going to like last well or do anything. And I think about that a lot. I think about that, the difference in Comicsgate and Phantom Menace. Being both.
Yeah, it's definitely slowed down this stuff. I mean, it's still making money, but like you have to. It's undeniable. It's slowed down a little bit since like 2017. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's because there's been a lot of bad creators that ignorance or because they were greedy, they just took the money and ran, and then they're like, oh well, you'll get it when you get it, or sucker, and so that kind of jades people too in this sphere as customers. And it's like, I thought this is like a customer movement, so that's like unfortunate. That's why I've never released a campaign for a book of Meth Gear, because like I want to have at least like a quarter of the pages done, which costs money. So I haven't accrued that yet to make pages, but once I get that, you'll see if a campaign starts.
I think he forgot to turn on his mic.
Yeah, your mic's muted, Ricky. Idiot.
Whoopsie. Whoopsie.
But
no, I was gonna say, as far as like the writing that Eric's trying to do with this, like, I don't mind trying to, not have things super specific. Like, when we watch Game of Thrones and House of Dragons, some stuff, they don't tell you everything. You're like, it's based on visuals though, that will tell you something, or, the little crumb that gets answered later at some point. So that stuff's not bad, but I feel like the issue that a lot of people are having is that there's not enough to get you to want to see what happens next yet. Like, it's like, okay, so I'm here, but like kind of like we said of Force Awakens, they're like, well, what is the thing that's coming next? What is the big thing? Like, going there, I guess, going forward so far.
Here's a better example, Ricky, because you brought up Game of Thrones with the whole job thing. Maybe this will help explain it better for you. This perspective. All right. So in Game of Thrones, you start meeting like, oh, here's Ned Stark, and it's like, well, he's Lord of Winterfell, and then you get like an outside view of Winterfell. You realize like, all right, this is a lord of a kingdom of some extent in the Seven Kingdoms, and unlike other lords, he directly administers justice. So like, he kind of sets himself apart from the norm of hierarchy in the world. All right. And then he's got his sons with him. And then, he's got a bastard. And so being a bastard, even if you're in the highborn, you're still second class in your own family. All right. So we get like clear distinction with that stuff. All right. And then through the show, like, it's clear, like, you're watching the story of like mostly the highborn. Here and there, there'll be like an upstart guy through like being a squire into knighthood, and finds, some role in like kind of middle class in the world. But then you also get later on the show, you get reflections like with Arya when she sits down with the soldiers, and she's never really had the perspective because she's been all about fuck the Lannisters. And then she actually breaks bread with Lannister soldiers. And it's like, oh, you think we get crows? Like we're highborn? Stupid. Like we're peons. This is a job. I get paid for this. Hopefully I can go back. I hope I have a daughter so she doesn't have to do the shit I'm doing, because as a man, I'm either a farmer, or I'm getting called up in the military. So she gets perspective. And it's like that perspective matters why the story's happening. Like you see it with Bronn. So Bronn is like a lowly sellsword. He's despised in the world because it's like, oh, you have no loyalty to banners. You just are paid. You're hired. You're a mercenary. And so that has disdain. Being an imp, even if you're highborn to like one of the most revered lords in the kingdoms, well, you're a fucking cripple. Disgusting. It's like only because you're named do you have any authority. Otherwise, we would, kick you to the curb. But it's only because the extension of his family that anyone actually respects Tyrion out of fear of the name of Lannister. So it's like within that kind of reveals sort of a job in the world, and you're standing in it, and why you can fund or not fund things. If you're watching a story of like the farmer and his daughter with the rabbit stew, and they're on an adventure, and it's like, but like you have like no silver to last the winter, and they ended up dying. And, you know, Clegane had to bury him later, and he felt bad about it because he robbed him. He screwed him further. And so that's what I mean. Like the job matters, because it's like, all right, he retired. He was a super. Now he's retired. Does he get a pension? Did he get a big payout being that? What is his job now? Sustaining himself? That's why it matters. That's why I want it answered in the book to see like what's his role in the world outside of like kicking ass.
Nice. No, I mean,
I
actually,
don't
I
know,
should like that. I don't know if I can.
Spider-Man is stretched thin because he's a freelance photographer for the Daily Bugle, and he's a college student, but he's also an objectivist superhero.
I am never absolute in saying that you must need to have specific details at specific times in order for it to make sense and be good. This seems like something that like you need to have.
A different angle though is like the Hulk. The Hulk is his story starts being a doctor of physics or astrophysics, something like that, gets him in the door in the first place to ever have the gamma bomb affect him and saving his friend. That's why he gets it with the gamma radiation and becomes the Hulk. All right. So afterwards, being the Hulk, he can literally just like roam the country in the woods and eat, I don't know, trees. He can eat rocks, whatever the hell. He doesn't need a stable home because of his power. But someone like Isom, it's kind of like seems street level. It's like, what is his, what sustains him outside of being a superhero? Like that's why it matters to me. That's why I wanted it addressed by the end of the book.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely want those type of notes, man. Not the one with Ripperverse, but the one with how you
when I'm figuring out Meth Gator and like the world he's in, it's like, all right, him and Curtis the Coon, they're in the swamps. They're kind of a known secret in this swamp town. Why would they be a known secret? Why isn't there a bunch of like trophy hunters trying to get Meth Gator? Why isn't anyone talking about him and spreading them in the world? And it's like, well, he kind of has a dealing with the law enforcement of the town, like a boss hog, where it's like, all right, we'll let you make your moonshine, and we'll turn a blind eye as long as we get a cut. Otherwise, we'll kind of like let your secrets spill beyond this town's, And so it's like it's simple, but it suffices, and it's also like, all right, he's not just a wild gator man that lives in the swamp and eats like fish. He's personable. He has some sort of income.
Right.
It makes sense why he's like, oh, he goes to the bar and shoots pool.
Yeah, but it's just the kind of thing where do you need with every single character to know the job? I just don't like it right away. Do you need to know what it was? I don't know if you need to for everything. I'm agreeing that it helps and that it can help give context to things and maybe answer at some point, but I just don't think it's.
I would say actually yes, because this is actually an after story. Like, there's probably a prequel that he could make for Isom of like, here's the heyday of Isom as an accept for Florspark, Texas, and it's like this is after the fact, so he's already established and has pieced out, and so it's like, well, like, how's his day to day?
Well, it's just like to me. I'm just seeing it as like, okay, so somebody asked, "What are you doing today?" I'm a rancher. I think our audio is coming through on your end, Wizard.
Yeah,
or something. It's been like choppy.
Sorry, what?
I said I think that our audio is coming through on your end. Like I can hear myself whenever I'm speaking come through you on there.
I'll check.
Okay. Wasn't sure what that was.
Poop.
Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay. That was bugging me for a little bit. That's better. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's Spiderverse, the first one. Miles is going to school, so he doesn't have a job, but his dad is a cop, and his mom's, as far as we know, a stay-at-home mom. And so you understand, like, all right, well, he's not stressed for money personally.
Well, it's
And he
like
got a scholarship to go to a super school, not an actual superhero school, but like a private school.
right, but can there be a character that you don't need? Like, I'm trying to imagine. It's like, okay, so yo Avery, you still ranching? Yeah. Like, I don't see the benefit of this. Like, of knowing that for him.
Dude, John Wick. John Wick is kind of the same
if it was
thing.
a different job of some kind that could be more relevant, then I think that would be something there. And maybe the ranch will come into play in the future at some point. But like, it just doesn't with this.
Well,
like
like
I don't
the
know.
point
like,
that the guy makes that this story is written, it's a volume 1, but it's written like a volume 5. Like, we already know the character, and it kind of is because there's a whole prequel to him.
Right away with that, I mean, you kind of think that that's how some things should be, where it's like we're just peering into the universe. It's just this is their day to day happening, and then we're just going in right here, now.
Luke
And,
Skywalker's a moisture farmer.
You don't need to know Cad Bane and his history with Boba Fett or something. You just go in.
No, but you know he's a bounty hunter. That's his job, and that's why he crosses paths with our Jedi.
Yeah.
The clones are soldiers, and so they have duty with orders from higher ups.
Well, you know that he has a job. I don't.
Well, it's like the story is like there's nothing. Like there's no like, oh, I got to do this, or this is really cut. Oh, you calling me? I got to do
my
this.
point.
I got to find this girl. This is really cutting into my ranching. It's like, no, he's just punching a bag.
I think you might be misunderstanding my point. I think that I agree that it would probably be improved to have that type of detail that he does have a day to day, that he is doing something, but I don't think that that's relevant to just know what the job is, like that you must have it. I think that can help make it better than what we're shown, but I don't think that that's like a needed story point. You know, he has a job.
Wick.
You know, he makes money.
Compares, all right, actually, because there's a whole prequel you could do, a series about John Wick and his adventures, becoming Baba Yaga, becoming the name of, like, you killed the dog of the Baba Yaga, you killed John Wick's dog. Oh fuck. And there's a whole prequel of like, this is the crazy shit John Wick could do as a one-man army. And what we start with in the whole story after is like the one-man army out of retirement. We already understand like this was his job. Like as simple as the John Wick story universe is thus far, that's like a binding thing, is like he knows all this. He has weapons. He has understanding of weapons and how to kill people in various ways. His gun fu, all of this is tied to the simple. He was essentially an assassin. He's in an assassin's guild that's international. That little bit tells us a lot. And it makes the rest of the story, however crazy and ridiculous it is, it's like, well, okay, that makes sense. He's an assassin. He's like a spec ops guy. And so he has this. But if he was like, oh, John Wick goes to Wall Street, it's like, what? Does he have any experience with business and algorithms and metrics of, you know, all this? Like, that would be wacky. And so it's like, all right, this guy was a superhero. He hung up his cape, and now he's apparently a rancher, but all we saw so far is him punching a bag in retirement, and then he gets a call, and it's like, all right. And it seems like this inconvenience really doesn't affect his day-to-day so far.
I don't see how that's a problem, though, so far.
Well, it's a problem because it's already alluded to in the story pitch, and close up shop. So it's like, what's the shop? That'd be like if you watch Wolf of Wall Street.
Pages.
That's like if you watch. It's something in the ether of thought with this book. If they don't resolve it, bullshit. It should be resolved in book 1, and not like, oh, I'll tell you about his ranching in his life at all in like book 3 or 4. That'd be stupid.
I disagree, because what if that's a point of fucking conflict? You haven't been fucking ranching. I've been having to do double time because your ass wasn't around here. You know, in a future book. You don't need to have it answered right now.
Not in the first 15 pages. I'm just saying, like, you need some.
Even in the first book is what I'm saying. Like, that could be.
I'm saying, like, pretty much any story, story character I drop on you, if they're not like a side character that just pops in and it's like, even side characters is like, all right, you're aiding the story or hurting the story because this is your role. And it's like, oh, you're unemployed, man. Well, I can't rely on you because like you can't keep a fucking job. And that would make total sense. Or it's like, well, what are your skills? You work at Walmart. You know how to bag groceries and stock stuff on a shelf. That's your role in life. You know, like the job actually makes a big difference.
No, so my point. This is something.
No. Pick a random movie we know.
No, this is going away from the point here. I am saying that is a that is a thing that is an important element in most stories. But does it need to be? I had a similar conversation about having a silent protagonist in a film. Like, can that happen? And you know, and I'm like, can that happen without the specifics of the silence being addressed?
Willy's Wonderland.
It's like
the only example I can think of.
So right away, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about, where if you were to tell me that he must speak a line or his silence must be addressed, I think you're wrong, because you can make them. Some people would argue that the Willy's Wonderland silence is kind of jarring because he's just randomly silent, just doesn't feel like speaking for no reason. Like there's no cause to it. Some people would say that that's not written as well with that.
Oh my God. Wait. Sorry. So catch you the chat. You know, it says that bastard was a real bastard. Stony McEnergy says new superhero idea, businessman. I like that. Find me on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, man, find me at Angus Reviews and DM me because I want to hear what your pitch is for businessman. That sounds hilarious. Businessman.
That's how we've actually made some spin-off ideas for Medicator stuff.
Raptor Cop
stuff.
Yeah,
yep,
that's
Cops.
A Jurassic Park 3 inspired idea of like that'll be a show or comic in the universe of Meth Gator. Raptor Cop. Yes. He's a raptor that has betrayed his race and serves as a cop for humanity.
Yeah,
sounds stupid.
He has no home. Humanity hates him. Raptors hate him.
We derived this idea based on the Raptors in Jurassic Park 3 chasing them down and like talking to each other looking for the egg, where like these are like cops pulling these humans over.
Oh no, it's like they're mobsters. Or
it's like, hand over the eggs.
Town, boys. Yeah.
That's where Raptor got it.
But no, I guess if people in the chat are like, why the fuck are these guys still on this fucking topic? It's like we both like writing, we both like films, and I like to try to push for whatever the norm. You gave many examples as to why having a job listed is important, and I agree. I'm not saying that it's not important.
In various spectrums, talk about fantasy.
Could you make a medieval story where this element that is so necessary in most things is not there and still good? That's kind of where I was trying to go with some of that. Like with the silent protagonist thing, I got a lot of pushback on a lot of people talking about that before. And it was just like you can't do that. It must be addressed. It must be important or something. I'm just like, I mean, I guess, but I feel like you could still have a very compelling story without having that detail be specifically hammered into you, you know? Like, is it impossible to think that somebody can't speak or won't speak for whatever reasons that
I'm just saying
don't have to do with the story?
So far, what I've read, the story pitch of a rancher is like, I had no inclination. He says, close up shop to a guy. I have no idea what the shop is. It's not addressed so far. It better be by the end of the story, because otherwise it's like you could have just made it a non-factor. Like I would totally buy he's a retired superhero and it could be like a Vought thing, like the boys. It could be anything you could just not address, but they leave these crumbs in the synopsis and in the book so far where it's like, this is bothering me now.
Yeah, everybody's wondering about the title of the stream now.
Yeah. You will have to tell us, give us the synopsis about this Doomcock thing. This newest lie of Doomcock to his retard fan bases. Kindle would put it.
Well, I mean, it's just like he says a lot of things, you know. Yeah, I don't hate the guy, but I don't like how he often is like, will say things, you know, take it as a rumor. It's a great assault.
I totally hate the guy.
Here's the George Lucas is going to take back Lucasfilm, according to a source or something. It's just like I just don't even know how that's.
There is a great one. Let me
Like,
read it to you.
It just comes off so insane. I don't know.
Someone shared this screenshot of, I think, a Doomcock tweet. Let me
I
find
think
it.
he had sources, but he definitely exaggerates.
Right. Okay. So Doomcock says in June 4th, 2021, this is for a video. It says, breakdown with Overlord DVD. Rumor, upheaval at Lucasfilm. Lucas in, Kennedy out, Brie rejected. Because I guess there's this fake rumor of Brie Larson in Star Wars because there was that Star Wars pic that she took of like her as a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's like, oh my God, she's going to ruin Star Wars. And he ran with that. So he says in the tweet, multiple sources confirmed Kennedy has been officially notified her contract will not be renewed. Meanwhile, another news outlet has validated my report that George Lucas is returning and Brie Larson will not be Mara Jade. Is there new hope for Star Wars? It's 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this whole like, well, he said take it with the grain of salt. Like, no one watches Mike Zero anymore unless it's just for laughs because they know everything he's saying is just made up bullshit. But then with Doomcock, because he says rumors, that is like that absolves him from reporting fake shit. Like sometimes Grace Randolph will get a leak or a rumor and she'll like tease it out to some capacity. And it's like, well, I was wrong. Or like, oh, I'm hearing maybe this guy's getting cast for Superman and James Gunn. And James Gunn's like, nope. And it's like she has credibility because what I read on Wikipedia, her channel is owned by like, I think Deadline in some web. And also she's reported on stuff that ends up coming true. So like she has validity as a scooper. She has connections. It's proven in her content. When she's like, ooh, I know this thing. I'm dancing around it until I get like, oh, the trade's kind of valid. Okay, now I'll tell you what I've heard about. And she'll give you like the full scoop. And so she can get things wrong. That's fine because it's like 50-50 at least with her. So there's validity. When Doomcock, every fucking thing this guy says is wrong. If you look up on YouTube, I'm sure you can find Doomcock Star Trek. They purposely gay ops the guy. And he ran with reporting all these things that were just from Reddit. And they like left a little key of like, this is fake in the scoops that he reported on. Is like, oh, I'm hearing this stuff, the shakeups at Star Trek shows or whatever. Total lie that they made up that he ran with. That's why I hate this guy, because when he's like a figurehead in the fandom manosphere and he's scooping all these fake things and every fucking thing is fake. The grain of salt bullshit is not a shield. That's why I hate the guy, because he in the sphere delegitimizes everyone. That's why it's such a big deal to me, because it's like it's another Mike Zero. But at least Mike Zero, like no one believes him. After Last Jedi, no one believed his shit. And then it just became like a meme to watch his new shit. And like half the videos is the same thing every time, leading into like, here's like one line of something. And then, yeah, so what do you think? Be sure to subscribe. Like, that's it. You know, it's fake.
Right.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if you think Doomcock's gonna end up like that like one day, even with his new, even though he does it differently.
Sorry, what?
Like he's just gonna eventually his own followers. I mean, I broke away for different reasons, but I was just asking.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think he'll still have a fan base and stuff, but I wish that he'd do some of his more creative things back in the, like he did a Game of Thrones alternate season 8 sort of synopsis story thing and whatnot, and that was a more
that was good stuff.
That was good energy. I was like, whoa, that's some
criticism,
creative writing, critiquing season 8 pretty well, and providing what he would do instead. Essentially, like that was good. Like stuff like that was awesome, and was honest. So
yeah, like Tim Grice, that's fine if I'm entertaining, whatever. But
yeah,
the fact that like he's trending on Twitter for this stupid fucking loop, it's like there's a meme someone made of him as like The Simpsons, where it's like, say the line again. It's like Kathleen Kennedy's fired, and it's like, dude, she just announced a new trilogy of Rey Skywalker films. Like
somebody said you can't renew a lifetime contract in the chat here.
Like, I don't know. I take this stuff serious. Like, however, like silly or stupid, we're being. It's like I take criticism serious. Like, there's a difference between being subjective. It's like I love this thing versus like, well, you can say like I feel Spiderverse is woke because they showed BLM and trans lives matter, protect the trans, whatever. And it's like, okay, that's your perspective, but like objectively, that had no bearing on the story. That's just an element that honestly is not even ridiculous to have a character from New York as a kid to want to be trendy and cool for the what they think's a good narrative. Because like as a kid in New York in a Democrat city, do you think a kid wants to be a transphobe? Do you think they get labeled that? Do you think they want to get labeled racist because they're not down with BLM, especially for a Black Puerto Rican kid? To have BLM on his back, it's not a stretch. It's not like Thomas Sowell having BLM. It's like
when it's not pushing it down our throat if it's not relevant to the story, if it's not
it's forefront. Like even if it is like a virtue signal by the studio or whatever, a little Easter egg virtue signal, it's inconsequential to the film, and thus it's not valid.
It's like in the old Disney films that would have like small subtle like sexual things like in a frame or something, like in was it Rescuers or something, if like they're like going across, they're like zooming across some buildings, and if you pause on a specific frame, there's like a very tiny image of like somebody naked or something, like in a tiny frame in a building in the background.
Shadows, basically. Like,
yeah. Or there's like a shot in The Little Mermaid where one of her like this little dude or something has like his balls going through his pants or something. Just very small shot or something. It's just like, it's not in your face. It's like nobody's gonna notice it really, but because people can pause and look, like those things are noticed. Or the SEX from Lion King or whatever, when they fall down and it goes up.
Yeah,
so it's like
so
subtle. Those were like subtle things that were always around.
Here's why it matters is like, aside from just like delegitimizing anyone in our sphere with Star Wars talk and criticism, when you get bogged down with like, this is what like Catwoman and Batman, all right, even if it's meant to be a commentary on current politics, it's not far-fetched for the Selena Kyle of that world to have this perspective, because her mom was killed by this elite mobster, essentially her father, and she's turned to a life of petty criminality, burglaring to get by, because as far as she sees it, that's the only way to like actually get ahead in this world where she's at. And also she's trying to like work up the ladder to like get the guy that killed her mom. And so with Batman, it's like, oh, you must be like a white privileged guy. You don't care about us poor people or this or that. And it's just totally misreading who Batman is. But it's not far-fetched for a person in her state to have this perspective, regardless of current day politics. And you see videos where like a woman hits a guy's car. She gets out and says, "You hit my car, white privilege." Like, people really say this shit. It's not far-fetched, regardless if it's like eye rolling because of modern day rhetoric. And so that's what gets irritating. And our sphere, even if you're actually liberal, if you're in our sphere, you network with these people, you're already a Yahtzee in the mainstream. Doomcock has made his name in like, I think, Forza Scott Mendelson, but it's all in the angle of like, oh, these like misogynist, they hate diverse, they're the bad people. So it's like we have an uphill battle for legitimacy in the mainstream, and some people think we can make a parallel economy, like we can go to Rumble or whatever, and it's like those are already typecast as like, that's where like the blacklisted losers go.
Yeah, one of the main Twitch people or something was like, somebody brought up Rumble in the chat, and somebody else said, it's like, yeah, that's just like the Nazi YouTube or something. And it's like, oh, okay, that's the Nazi YouTube.
Gab
like,
instead of Twitter, or Parler, True Social. These are all outcast platforms. We have to legitimize ourselves in mainstream platforms. Otherwise, we're just an echo chamber, and we're not reaching anybody that isn't already in agreement. It's an uphill battle. And so it's not fair, but we got to play things a lot cleaner than the shill media, CNN, whoever. And so shit like Doomcock only hurts everybody when we're like, yeah, okay, rumors, a grain of salt, it's whatever. And it's like, dude, you clearly have no fucking, your source is Reddit.
Right.
Yep.
First time I heard white privilege was on the internet about 10 years ago, and I'm 47. I always like to say, well, if you think everyone has white privilege, why aren't you claiming you're white?
Damn. Yeah.
No one's doing that. Everyone goes to universities, pretends they're Indians, and
Well, they won't be able to get
else.
they won't be able to get the oppressed rewards,
Yeah,
Christ says,
the person has become the thing. It's crazy.
oh yeah. Speaking of BLM, in Chicago, they're closing at least 4 Walmarts because of all the looting going on. I think out in Rookie's area, Portland area, they're removing Walmarts.
They're removing them like entirely.
Based. I love it. Unfortunately for Rookie, but yeah, they're going to turn these.
Well, I mean, I don't really go to Walmart, so I don't give a shit.
Well, that's one less place you can go now. Is the problem because of crime?
Well, will they come to our place to other places now? That's
you got to think
there.
like sure, other places you can shop, but it's like Walmart feeds other businesses because like, all right, here's a Walmart for general purchase, and then here's like specialty stores for whatever thing. Where it's like, all right, let me get like if I'm poor, I can get just basic cheap clothes, but then there's like a better specialty store around the place. Like there's always a Walmart before there's a Target. You know what I mean?
I guess
Target's a little more premium.
My thing is that with Walmart around, they were a target for the looters, and now they're gonna go to other places to loot.
Right. Well, yeah, they'll loot the lesser store, and then that store pulls out, and it's a domino effect. Is the problem for you, Rookie? That's just the start of it. You're like, oh, Walmart, whatever. But it's like, oh, well, then like your whatever main food place you go, well, that's the place getting looted now. And they're like, well, we're gonna pull out of Portland area, so it says I have one.
I'll move to Ohio, okay?
Which means I can get meth cheap. Please give me your info because I would like cheap meth.
You're goddamn right.
But yeah, Wizard. Last topic. Spiderverse. Let's walk through full spoilers.
Yeah, that was the whole point.
That's just something out of the hat,
Oh, all right. So you want to explain, or do you want me to explain it? It's like,
we'll just be both back and forth, and Ricky can comment about.
All right. Oh wait, you can go first. Whoever.
Yeah. So, Spiderverse has topped IMDb critic ratings or whatever. It is. Oh, sorry, I'm getting feedback from you, Wizard.
Is it stopping now?
Let me see. Yeah.
Okay.
The top 2 superhero films were Endgame and Dark Knight, and now Spider-Verse 2 has taken that. And I don't know how I feel about that because in its own way, Spider-Verse 2 is very ambitious. The big takeaway for me, I think it has some pacing issues. I don't mind a long runtime, even for a kid's film, but it just felt it kind of like ran long in the tooth in some ways. But it was pretty satisfying emotionally. I like Spider-Gwen a lot. I was surprised that they actually made her a big. She's kind of like an even character now with Miles Morales in this universe. Kind of her movie. She really like has the front end of the film. The biggest thing I took away from the film was this moral dichotomy going on, the real crux. So there is at the start with Miles, there is like a villain trying to rob an ATM, and he has like this portal ability. He has spots all around. He's kind of like Rorschach, but his whole body's like that. And so he uses spots, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna get in the ATM, get the money, but like his hand, the portal's going like somewhere else, like bags of chips in the store. And so he can't get in. He's getting busted by the owner. He's like, hey, quit robbing. And so he's like having all these shenanigans. Miles Morales pops in to save him. And it's all this wacky stuff because the portals, and he's like trying to figure out how to fight this guy. So he like tries to punch him, but then the portal punches him in the face with his own hand. And so that's like a funny gag going throughout it. And he figures out, he kind of times the portals and webs them up, thinks he can leave them for later because he's got to do like a pre-college entrance, like trying to place him at a good college. And his parents are waiting and they keep texting him. So that's like a gag throughout all this. But so that's like the main villain he's dealing with that apparently became who he was because Miles stopping the multiverse machine from Kingpin in the first film. They don't quite explain how that worked, at least not to my satisfaction. It wasn't clear, but it's like, you hit me with a donut in that whole Doomcock sequence. So that's a little funny callback that's coming back to like be of substance, but you kind of think he's just a run-of-the-mill, whatever, wacky Marvel villain. Then this multiverse thing comes about with Spider-Gwen. She is blamed as Spider-Woman in her universe for the death of Peter Parker, who was the Lizard in her universe. And he gets killed, gone crazy at the prom as the Lizard. And her father, police chief, Captain Stacy or whatever, Chief Stacy, whatever his name is, he finds her holding Parker, and so he thinks she's the killer. So he's after her for all these years, and she's having to like hold this in because she doesn't feel she can trust like saying I'm Spider-Woman and I didn't kill him. And that comes to fruition when she's foiling I guess a multiverse like Da Vinci art vulture. And Miles not Miles Morales, but the Spider-Man 2099 and Black Pregnant Jessica Drew Spider-Woman pop in from their multiverses to help because I guess they're in this multiverse team of stopping villains in the wrong universes. And when this happens, her father gets unwebbed and like holds her at gunpoint. She's like, it's me, it's Gwen. And you think like, okay, there's a chance that he'll be like, wait, you're my daughter. You couldn't have killed him. I got this all wrong. But he's like, you're under arrest. And so she has to like dip out. And so now she's working with the multiverse because she doesn't have a home now. So she's just kind of fully investing her life with the multiverse initiative. So she comes into Miles's life. And you think that she's just visiting, but it's actually she's doing work trying to track the Spot guy. And so you get a lot of personal investment. You definitely get a like, ooh, there's clearly chemistry. They both longed for each other and think they'd see each other again because of the multiverses. But now they're rekindling like, they're spider people. So they both like totally understand the dual identity crisis that they're dealing with. But Gwen seems to be aware of all the Gwen Stacy's with Spider-Man problem. And so she's kind of not at
snap
ease.
neck.
Right. So she's not really at ease with getting involved with a Spider-Man romantically. Or at least it's like a question, but it's clear like they have chemistry. And they end up going to like another multiverse to stop something. It's like an Indian Spider-Man, like the country of India, not natives.
Oh, okay.
And that's a little wacky, but they do like a quick little like rundown of his life and his dual identity. And he likes this girl, but she doesn't know he's the Spider-Man there. And then crap happens because it's like some like multiverse conundrum because ultimately Miles saves the girl's police father when that guy's supposed to die. And that's supposed to be like the canon inciting incident for his universe's Spider-Man to be who he is, and saving that guy wrecks the canon. And so it makes you wonder if it's like a multiverse and this like we got to preserve canon and this like, wait, do you know what happens afterward? So it's like life is predestined. That's already an interesting concept. Spider-Man 2099 is like apparently in charge of all this stuff. He is actually the antagonist of the film because they're trying to keep Miles out of this because they don't want him to know his father's going to die in like 2 days. And now he knows, and so they're trying to stop him. So he like sends him on this wild chase. Peter Parker, like dopey Peter Parker that got with Mary Jane and rekindled all that in the first film. He's in here and trying to talk to him like, hey man, you got to let this happen. And the whole argument's like, am I supposed to let my dad die just because I'll help other people? Like, fuck you. I'm going to save everybody. I'm Spider-Man. And it's like, yeah, that is Spider-Man. That's like the core of the character, regardless of which iteration. Like, that's a Spider person resolve. And they're all these different forms of Spider people are chasing them. and it actually he sent him on a goose chase and dips out, and he goes back to the base to like send himself to his universe in the machine. But twist, turns out the spider that bit him was from the wrong universe, so his genetic code is coded for universe 42. His universe is 1610. So he goes to it turns out the twist of Miles's in story of the film is he's in the wrong universe, and he meets himself as the Prowler because his father died in this universe. So he has teamed up with his uncle and is the Prowler, and he's more adult. And so that's a cliffhanger. And then the other cliffhanger is like Gwen assembles the Spider People team thanks to getting a new multiverse gauntlet thing to be able to travel, because she got X'd out essentially from the multiverse crew. But Spider-Punk made his own for her. And so now she can still travel the multiverse. So she's got a crew of Spider People to, I guess, save Miles. Because like there's this whole thing before you get there reveal of like Miles is going to his house, he's sneaking in, he's supposed to be grounded, and Gwen went there earlier. And then it turns out he's in the wrong. She figured out he's in the wrong place, and then of course he gets caught and figures out he's in the wrong place. And so yeah, it ends on a cliffhanger. We don't know where it's going in Beyond the Spider-Verse, but man, what a cool story! A lot of fun art iterations. Just like creatively, like what a fun time. Great for all ages. Like I said, there's a lot of deep, unanswerable concepts of multiverse. That are pertinent when you think about it, for sure. Should you let someone die if it is an overall net positive? Is that on your conscience? That's a big factor at play. Pretty mature content for a kid, for kids' films. Not mature like, oh, it's grotesque or gory. It's just like, it's very heady, and kids will enjoy it and not even really understand. But it's something that like, it's a film like Lion King, where it's like you can grow with this film and get more and more and more the older you get. So good time. If you like comics, if you like big stakes, interesting dilemmas, this is a great film. But yeah, Wizard. You can
definitely. It definitely had me through a twist when that scene came up when you realize that when he realizes, he's in a different universe because of the spider. And that was pretty good. I would say animation, like if you want to see fluid and high quality fluid animation, and that's a 10 out of 10. And the world building and the characters are awesome. I mean, it's just not only great to look at, but the characters are great. The storyline is pretty solid, even though I think it could be a little like with a joke with all the dads and all that stuff. So it was just like,
what's funny is like, you never know when you're going to have like kind of like crowd interaction in a film, and they have like some multiverse little gag where it's like they show Peter Parker at the Daily Bugle, but it's Lego Peter Parker, and then he changes uniforms in the bathroom, and then he gets like a call on like the multiverse wristband, and he does like this whole like boop boop. And like just that stupid gag they do a couple times when he's like interacting with the thing. And then like I remember like looking at a guy next to me with his kid, and I'm just like, this is amazing.
Right.
We're all just having a good time. The kids were engaged. No one's like, whoa, whoa, making noise, crying, nothing. Everyone's engaged with this shit.
Oh yeah, I definitely heard that too, even at my theater.
The other funny thing, I don't know if I told you this already, is that years ago I did a video because Grace Randolph mentioned in the first Spider-Verse that like interesting, all three Spider People, well, you could say Nick Cage too for Noir and etc. All the voice casting are potential live action cast members. Haley Steinfeld has already been in Marvel with the Hawkeye shit. I haven't watched it, don't care to, but she's clearly physically competent enough to do action shit like this. So I don't know how that would work. I guess you get away with it being Sony versus Marvel Direct, but interesting. The Miles Morales actor, I just saw MCU Direct saying like, I'm actually going to work on losing weight, so I'll be the prime guy in the casting call for Miles Morales live action. So it's like, ooh, he's already getting ready. That's cool. But with, like I said, the Spider-Verse people, they're mainly concerned with catching villains in the wrong universe, and it's like what we see with Spider-Gwen with the Vulture from like Leonardo art. It's weird to explain. But how do I say this? In the Spider-Verse like headquarter universe, or whatever, they have all these villains from the wrong universe in like these capsules to, I guess, transport them to their right one. They have Donald Glover from Homecoming in a Prowler suit, because that was like speculation for years that he's the Prowler, and it's like they've confirmed that. And when they're showing the like canon events, they show I don't know what scene, but they show Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and then they show Uncle Ben with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So they've confirmed that like No Way Home Spider-Man are part of the Spider-Verse total. Because apparently they were going to do a throwaway scene, like in credit scene, of having all three live action Spider-Man in Spider-Verse, but I guess No Way Home was in the works, and so they just canned that.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. Well, the meme of the three Spider-Man like pointing at each other?
Yeah.
They did that. That was funny. Because it's like, oh, Peter Parker, and then it's like all these different Peter Parkers, like you, like.
Yeah, I liked it when they did that too. That was like, yeah, that was awesome.
But probably my only complaint with the Spider-Verse, like actually going to like the headquarters of all these different Spider-Man, Spider people, was like one of the Spider people at like the headquarters where the machinists have sent you to your universe. It's like this black girl with Afro puffs or whatever, but she's actually just like a digital avatar. It's like her spider person is like in another universe or something, and she's wearing like a headset to control her spider avatar. And it's like, what the fuck? I don't know if that's a comic thing that's like, diversity bullshit in Marvel comic. I don't know, but it just felt cringe as fuck. That was my own complaint. And then all the other spider people, like they have like a spider person that's like a cowboy, like an Old West Spider-Man, and his horse has webs, I guess, from its feet or something.
Out of his ass.
It was silly. It's silly. Like I appreciate like the inventiveness. I don't know if it's ever been a comic, but that was funny. But the amount of all these like wacky, like it just felt like Spider-Punk. I don't know if I've never read him in a comic.
He was
good actor. Didn't like the character, but I just feel like Spider-Punk is just like a gimmick, like some of the Spider people iterations, like the cowboy one, it's like gimmicky, and it's like that irritates me, but it's not a focus of the film.
Right. I wonder. I guess you just didn't like his his laid back attitude or something, like.
Well, I just felt like his persona doesn't match being part of the Spider-Verse to begin with. He's all like, oh man, I don't like groups or anything. I'm just my own guy and this and that, but he's been in the Spider-Verse unit for however long.
Probably. Yeah.
Doesn't match up. It just feels like a plot contrivance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was pretty close to second. Well, one of my favorites. I mean, yeah.
A lot of people complain, I guess, about like, of course, there's like pregnant spider person, but I guess like the takeaway is supposed to be that she's a spider person that hasn't sacrificed having a family. And then, of course, Peter Parker from the first one has also had a daughter, Mary Jane. And I guess it's like a secret that he's like taking her out for like spider ventures because she has the, I guess, inherent ability from genetics, I guess, to be spidery. It was fun. It wasn't like a major like, oh man, she's in such peril. But
Yeah, I saw people like, oh, they made Parker into a total bitch. I'm like, really?
I can see that. I don't like even if I totally agree, it's not really substantive to the plot. So it's like I can let it. For me, it's like I can let it slide for comedy's sake, even if it is kind of the classic like Homer Simpson type shit. The stupid dad, bumbling idiot, but like his 2-year-old daughter seems more competent. Like whatever. Like it's fine because like you get like Oscar Isaac as Spider-Man 2099, and he's plays a pretty good role, I think. They had one of the animation styles. They had like a comic version of I think Ben Reilly Spider-Man with like kind of like a hoodie. They did like 3-dimensional comic character. So if you ever seen like Ultimate Spider-Man game, kind of like that style, what they did, kind of cool. All the different styles of animation was cool. Seeing them blend together. Definitely a fun ride, Rookie. Go see it.
When it's available to stream, I guess.
Oh my god. You're such a downer, Rookie. And then I show you Lego Batman, and you're like, this was amazing.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse.
The other Spider-Verse was all right. Yeah. It's all right.
I never get this guy because like we'll watch something like that was awesome, and then like we'll talk about it later. Like 5 out of 10. I'm like, what?
Looks it's like nothing. I mean, if I'm thinking back about it, it's like I don't really want to see it again. Like it's fine. I liked it, but I don't really
it's not Spider-Man. It's not the Spider-Man trilogy, but it's fucking good.
Nice. All right, guys, I gotta go.
Yeah, no, I appreciate having you on.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Rookie.
Again,
can't wait for your movie or stuff.
Oh wait,
yeah.
Before you go, I want to show the audience. Let me find it.
Doing some of our art.
Yeah, I'm waiting for an update from the other art, but show you all the. So if you don't know, Duel of the Fats.
Yeah, that was awesome. Oops, sorry.
This is the challenge, being Rookie. This is why we're talking about food and our showdown. It's gonna be a 2-month challenge of weight loss between us fatties.
I say if you want real engagement, like if you want both of your audiences to be engaged, and you're gonna have to be like some type of voting or involving them somehow.
Yeah, this is our promo art for Duel of the Fats. We'll probably put it up on a merch store or something so y'all can get like a shirt, maybe a poster, whatever. That could be, I guess, part of the pot for us, our duel of our payout, winner take all. We'll also have, I'm waiting for ours to get us, these are fat versions, of course, but we're going to have like straight kind of cool comic versions of these. Minotaur Maul and Rookie Obi-Wan. You can do Team Angus and Team Rookie, like Captain America Civil War when they did the promo. They like Team Cap, Team Iron Man merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going down. You're gonna get creamed.
Got you for 2 months. 2 months of playtime.
Yeah, and we're way about the same, so it'll be interesting.
We're going to count both weight and like body fat calculator and probably get like an average or whatever, possibly. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, just told Rookie some of my ideas. I mean, you want engagement for it, or you just do it for
Both.
Nice.
Faux show.
But yeah. See you around Wiz. I'm gonna show this last article for a little laugh. I haven't read it, I just saw the title. Crap. Wrong button. Shit. I hit the button again. There we go. Share. Here we go. New York Post. I worked in a prison. God damn these ads. I worked in a prison with charming killers. It ruined my love life.
What's up with these women, man?
these charismatic killers murdered her love life. A social worker who spent 15 years performing mental health assessments at a max security prison says sick inmates stopped her from dating. Kendra Capalbo, now 46, worked at Rhode Island Adult Correctional Facility, where her interaction with cold-blooded criminals made her realize just how deceptive some men can be. A lot of the inmates were extremely charming, she said. I can imagine how women fell for them. But hearing the details of their crimes, especially those involving women and children, and the rationale many of them used to justify their behavior, made it difficult to trust. Capalbo claimed that she went years without going on a date due to the distrust of men she started to carry outside of her. Sentence continue? It's just like open-ended. Her work. There we go. When she did venture out to meet a man, the social worker says she was a horrible date. I never wanted a dinner date to pay for my meal because I wanted to be clear that I didn't owe them anything. I think that energy that was flowing out of me was toxic and pushed potential partners away. Hearing how the inmates spoke of and viewed women, it all led me to being very mistrusting and rough around the edges. Despite the drain on her dating life, Capalbo told Jam Press that she felt imprisoned by the prison job.
I like that.
I didn't even see leaving the prison as a plausible option. I felt like I was doing a life sentence. However, towards the end of her 30s, she plucked up the courage to mount a prison break, quitting her role working for inmates to start employment as a couples therapist. Initially, it seemed ironic that Capalbo was working with couples given the fact that she was single and dateless, but the career change led to a drastic personal transformation. I don't think I actually knew how much that career negatively impacted me until I left and my internal self was safe to come out again, she stated. That's when I was able to recognize how much of a wall I had put up around me, and I was able to slowly tear it down. I think doing more couples work made me realize how much I really wanted to be in a relationship. Even though they had issues, I could see the love and desire to fight to save the marriage, and I wanted that. Hoping it wasn't too late to find a life partner, Capalbo signed up for online dating at age 40 in 2016. She soon connected with a man named James, who was 4 years her senior, with whom she managed to find love after lockup. I think my guard was still up, but he would see through it and was patient with me as it came down, she stated. James was also incredibly transparent. Some say too much so on our first date. He didn't have game, so I never really worried I was being conned. But wait.
Conned by cons. What?
The pair went on to marry, with Capalbo now deeply in love and the trauma of her time with serial killers in the rearview mirror. I'm doing great now, she declared. I've always been a believer that every step in life leads you to where you are meant to be, and I feel like I've arrived. So I guess happy ending for Prison Lady.
All right.
Nice little note to end the stream. But yeah, you can do it like Arnold. Like you're saying like and hold, and I'm like, what does that mean for YouTube? Stony McIntroduced earlier said, well, Spider-Man, your Nexus event is that you have to eat this baby. What a great line there, Stony. Yeah, what you're gonna have to hit me up on social. So I don't know. Leave a comment somewhere and be like, hey, hit me up here because you're funny. Gotta get you on a stream, man. Funny as fuck. But yeah, hopefully I'll have a guest Tuesday for comics. We'll find out. We'll see. If not, back here on Thursday, of course. Hopefully Mexican Iron Man will show up this time. We've had a lot of scheduling issues this year. But hopefully we'll have him on and have a fiesta.
Ooh.
Yeah, but thank you all for coming. I'm off to bed. See you next week.
All right, see you guys.